child in Valorant has heard the tale before about the cursed mommy boy who felt his heart no more. So sad and lorn, the helpless lad, 𝘀𝘀𝗋𝗋 was his name. He ventured out to find a friend and learn about his bane. For many years, young 𝘀𝘀𝗋𝗋 traveled through the lands, determined to make friends if only they would understand. But even when 𝘀𝘀𝗋𝗋 stood upon the ledge of home, his hope would disappoint him and he would remain alone. But then the curse began to whisper in his ear and would confirm what was 𝘀𝘀𝗋's biggest fear. It pledged that never shall someone become his friend. It pledged that he shall be alone until his end. But sorrow and despair became too much to bear. The moment when 𝘀𝘀𝗋 realized what he had done, too late it was for him, for them, the evil curse had won. The anger and the anguish overwhelmed his fragile soul and caused a wicked tantrum that he never could control.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the playoffs of the VCS, and welcome back to the VCS English Analyst Desk. Of course, it's a German Analyst Desk today, because by my side I have two of the most wonderful and magnificent analysts in the whole world. 𝘀𝗀𝗋𝗋 and 𝘀𝗀𝗋 are here. I'm very glad that you are joining me today, starting with you, 𝘀𝗀𝗋. How do you feel?
I feel very great. Looking forward to these playoffs. I mean, this time it really hits different to me personally, because last time I was only a guest for the playoffs themselves, and this time it's different because, I mean, I've been there since like day one of this winter split, and you really get a different investment emotionally into all these teams, and I'm really looking forward to see what 𝘀𝗀𝗧 can do today against 𝘀𝗀𝗋𝗋. Can they deliver? Will they choke again, or will 𝘀𝗀𝗋𝗋 have a little bit of fun with them this time? And yeah, I'm all up for it.
𝘀𝗀𝗋, it's your first season in the VCS, as well as it's mine. How do you feel about the playoffs? Do you think that 𝘀𝗀𝗧 will be able to take the win today?
I mean, they should be the favorites going in for sure, but it's still 𝘀𝗀𝗋𝗋. They had a very strong first half, and if they can get if they can get back to that performance, I think they have a shot at winning here, but it's not going to be easy.
So let's, before we start into the pre-analysis of this best of 5 𝘀cie versus Service Esports, let's have a quick talk about the season so far. Let's recap the regular season a little bit and start at the bottom at Team 𝘀cie and Team Secret. I mean, Team 𝘀cie, they have won the VCS in the past, and now they went. Let's say they didn't have the best season. 𝘀cie, what happened in this team?
With Team 𝘀cie, it's really unfortunate because they have been, as you just said, been the VCS champions. Then they didn't really get to play the international tournaments they deserve to play. I mean, there was like MSI being cancelled, then Worlds was happening, but Vietnam couldn't arrive there, sadly enough. And now they have been missing out on 2 Worlds, and of course, one of them would have been for 𝘀cie, if I remember correctly. And 𝘀cie didn't really stand up to it later on and couldn't keep their best players, aside from Yoshino, who was still doing numbers in both top lane and the mid lane, weirdly enough, this time. And with like rookies coming up, like, for example, Marcus in the top lane, they have at least like shown some promise, I would say, but it just wasn't enough to make the cut in most games. They won 1 series at the end against 𝘀𝑠𝑏𝑡𝑐, but that 𝘀𝑠𝑏𝑡𝑐 team was also falling off a cliff, so not really a great split for them, but at least they had like this little moment of success for them later on.
Yeah, well, 𝘀𝑠𝑏𝑡𝑐, we can talk about this playoff race. We had a very long time between 𝘁𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, 𝘀𝑠𝑏𝑡𝑐 Esports, and 𝘀𝑠𝑏𝑡𝑐. 𝘀𝑠𝑏𝑡𝑐 made it in the end. Coach Tim, do you think that this is a surprise?
I don't think it was too much of a surprise going into the last week, at least, and especially with 𝘀𝑠𝑏𝑡𝑐 basically falling off a cliff. I mean, these guys, they were in the playoff race, and then they lost all of the last 5 series they played. So entire week 4 and week 5, which basically threw them out of the race entirely. And then 𝘁𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 had the definitely the harder games, but I think BTS, they had a really strong showing in the last weeks, because I mean, in their last series they actually took the 2-0 over Cerberus, the team we're seeing today. So I think they are deserved playoffs contenders.
𝘀cie, where's 𝘁𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀? Where's the 3rd best team in the league?
On the 5th place, and yeah, you keep nagging me with this point, but I stick to my guns on this one, actually. I didn't predict one, they played wrong. It was just a conspiracy to make me look bad as an analyst, and I mean, let's just start off with
Obviously.
𝘁𝗀𝗆 in the mid lane, of course, not really the best farmer of all time, has also played the skirmishes badly this time of the year. 𝘁𝗀 was looking completely off the whole split, despite being in the finals in spring. He looked okay there, I would say, and 𝘁𝗏 just tried to style a little bit too much. And also, like, I mean, the staff couldn't really decide on an AD carry, while Shogun clearly looked to be better than 𝘁𝗏𝑇. And I was really not too fond of seeing them fall down at the middle of the split, I would say, where they really dropped series they shouldn't have dropped to teams like 𝘀𝑠b𝑡𝑐, for example. And yeah, gotta say, I expected a lot more of 𝘁𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, and I hope they get back on track for next split.
And with that, we arrived at the playoffs. Team Service Esports, 𝘀𝗀 Esports, as we said, 𝘀𝑠𝑏𝑡𝑐, and 𝘀𝑠ie, the opponents of Cerberus today. They made it 2 players, and with that, let's start with our pre-analysis. Let's start with our, maybe first of all, with the matchup analysis. Let's have a quick look onto the important matchups today. And of course, first of all, we have to talk about the AD carry. I know, Coach Tim, you said in the pre-talk, I don't want to talk about Artemis anymore, because we all know how good this player is. But can you quickly explain us, why is Artemis so good?
I mean, Artemis, first of all, has a really strong laning phase. Even on scaling AD carries like the Jinx, even Twitch that he pulled out during the split, he's looked really good in laning phase. He just finds his windows very effectively and uses them to chunk out the enemy over and over again. And I think a large part of that also, of course, 𝘀𝗏 and Ego, who in the early game consistently we've seen around level 3, level 4, Ego being down there, making sure that Artemis gets a very small lead, and then once he has that, he just runs over the laning phase and then able to support to roam over the entire map. So I think he's definitely, I think, going into playoffs, the for me at least, the regular season MVP and probably the best player going into playoffs. So I'm expecting a lot from him. But that's the reason I don't really want to talk about him. I think there's not really discussion about that, and I think other positions could be much closer.
I mean, the interesting part on the AD carry matchup, I guess, is the task of it, 𝘀𝑠𝑖. What do you think? Is this weak side bot lane angle today for 𝘀𝑠ie and, of course, for VIT as well?
I think for Wade it was basically just what you just described. I mean, he will likely be weak-sided also in this series. 𝘀🐶𝗰𝗶𝗹 has such a strong topside usually when they really want to play one. Them 𝘁𝗀, maybe one of the best junglers of the league, I would say. On his on days, I would say maybe the best jungler actually. This might be my personal hot take here, but just gotta say, 𝘁𝗀 can win games with free losing lanes. He's absolutely insane in that department and has his unique picks that also draw some bans that maybe even Ego doesn't get usually. And I expect 𝘁𝗍𝒽 and 𝘬𝗏 to fight over the Victor pick, for example, which is like maybe the strongest pick on the patch. And 𝘁𝗍𝒽 is the OG Victor player, I gotta say. And while 𝘬𝗏 has been looking great on it, so did 𝘁𝗍𝒽, and even when the champion was not as good. So I expect Vid to just resort to like maybe even the Jhin picks, which some of our analysts do not like. Also, I do not really like it that much, but that's kind of what I expect of him. And maybe like try to have bot lane not lose that much, that you can just win the top side harder than you lose the bot side.
So yeah, you mentioned top side. Let's switch the matchup. Let's have a quick look onto the top side matchup. Let's maybe start with the jungle matchup because we talked about Ego a little bit. Ego versus 𝘁𝗀𝗀. 𝘁𝗀𝗀, especially in the first half of the season, was maybe the best player through the whole 𝘀𝗀𝗋 team. Coach Tim, how important is the performance from 𝘁𝗀𝗀 when it comes to the performance of the whole team, 𝘀𝗀𝗋 Esports?
I think 𝘁𝗀𝗀, especially if we're looking at the other side, Ego is going to be so important because Ego, he is a very good player, but he has massive off games. I think he is very inconsistent, and if he fades big, which gives good openings to 𝘁𝗀𝗀. And if we're looking back at when these teams last played, it was actually 𝘁𝗀𝗀 just diffing the map entirely. Together with 𝘁𝗍𝒽, who played TF, 𝘁𝗀𝗀 played Kindred, get massively ahead and just run over the game against Ego. And it was just individual mistakes from Ego not being aware of what the Kindred could do that brought the Kindred so far ahead and won the game. So I think if 𝘀𝗀𝗋 stands any chance, then it's going to be 𝘁𝗀𝗀, it's going to be Coated, and it's going to be 𝘁𝗍𝒽. It's going to be this top side working together to get ahead.
This individual outplays, this individual mistakes Ego is doing sometimes, maybe his over-aggressive playstyle, the consistent skill checking when he's behind the weaknesses of Ego. Do you think, 𝘁𝗀𝗀, that this is the opener for 𝘁𝗀𝗀 to take over the game, especially with this very good early game?
I think it depends a lot on the draft, actually. I mean, that's just what I usually say, what every analyst basically says about that. But 𝘁𝗀𝗀 has like his oddball picks, like his talent, for example, that maybe has to be banned out by the side of 𝘁𝗀𝗺 here, so they do not really fall down to that one, which is like one of the comfort picks that has been popping off for 𝘁𝗀𝗀 recently. Also, maybe like his oddball picks, like the Echo might play a part, or maybe just 𝘁𝗀𝗀 pulls up a new trick out of his head and just goes for jungle pick number. I think this 10th jungle pick it would have been in the split so far. And he already played 10 jungle champions this split alone, so it would be pick number 11 for him. And Ego, yeah, just now, as Coach Tim said, has this tendency to like do some wacky stuff early game in like a third of his games, and he might just fall prey to that again against 𝘁𝗀𝗀. And on the side of Ego, I just hope he doesn't really fall prey to it this time, and he just stabilizes somewhat, and maybe, assuming he picks Viego or 𝘁𝗀𝗧, that he doesn't really force too much in the early game, because that was usually their downfall in the few losses 𝘁𝗀𝗺's had.
So, Coach Tim, do you think that Ego has to play a more supportive role maybe today? Because as we pointed out, Ego can be maybe the opener for 𝘀𝗀𝗋 to win.
I mean, I think both can work, both the farming and the supportive junglers. I mean, again, I want to look back at the series because it was a close-fought series between 𝘀𝗀𝗋 and 𝘁𝗀𝗧 the last time these two teams met in the second half. And Ego played the Viego, didn't work out great. By the way, I don't want either of the junglers to play Viego, please. They've been both basically just losing on the champion. Even if they're not losing games, they're at least losing like individual matchups with it. So I'm not really big on that champion. But in the third game specifically, he played full tank Jarvan, supporting his team, which was a bit crazy. But I think that could be the way for him. Just play those supportive champions. Make sure you can actually play aggressively in the early game, and that you can't be punished for it. And then I think they have a good shot at winning. But he can also play the farming junglers. I mean, Graves was talked about, Viego was talked about. Please don't pick him. And he played 𝘁𝗀𝗃 before, which is also one of these farming junglers that can pop off in the mid game. So I think one of these junglers could fit him out very well as well.
Talking about punishment, let's talk about pun. Okay, I'm sorry. In the top lane, in the matchup versus Coated, because the top side matchup. Well, one of my analysts has shut down. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's get back to serious. Let's talk about the top lane matchup, 𝘀𝗀 versus 𝘀𝗀, because 𝘀𝗀cie, you stated that 𝘀𝗀 can be one of the main carries for 𝘀𝗀cie as well. Do you think that the top side is maybe the important side for 𝘀𝗀cie esports in this game, in this whole series?
I think the top side in general, yes. The top lane, maybe to some lesser extent. I mean, we have seen 𝘀𝗀 basically dominating lanes with his Jace usually. I mean, he has pretty great laning stats, but you also have to like consider, because he has the Jace, and also 𝘀𝗀cie tends to play a little bit more on the top side. That would, of course, make it a little bit easier for him to have like good stats there. For 𝘀𝗀, it's a little bit harder. He usually like defaults to playing Renekton, playing Mundo, maybe even playing Tahm, Gragas or stuff like that to just neutralize the lane. So it might be a little bit of a bait on the side of 𝘀𝗀cie to focus too much onto 𝘀𝗀, and this is usually also like where 𝘀𝗀 is basically shining, because he is experienced in getting camped, and I don't think you can really tilt him off of it. And I also don't think you can really shut him down much, because his picks usually tend to do decently, even if they are weak-sided and like are down some CS, are down maybe a kill or two, or in this case, some experience down. As long as they like hit level 6, they are usually like pretty fine champions. And I think you can punish 𝘀𝗀 a little bit there, but I don't think that is really the way to go here. I think you would much more likely favor playing around the mid lane there.
Yeah, and if we look at how he plays, I think that's also a big part. If we look at his stats, he has the lowest kill participation from any top laner except for Marcus, who I think played like 1 or 2 games top lane for Team Flash. And then he also plays mostly the split pushing champions. He plays Camille, Jax, Jace. Those are his most played champions. So I think if we're talking about 𝘀𝗀, he can play around him, but I think what you really want to do is isolate it in 1-1-1, make sure that he can get an even lane with 𝘀𝗀, and then just push him in, get him into split pushing, and I think he can be a strong part of the team.
So what does 𝘀𝗀 talks exactly in this game? I mean, 𝘀𝗀, I liked him a lot when he played tanks in the past. I remember this one Mundo game where he completely went 1 versus 9, was unkillable, and actually carried the game for Cerberus Esports. Do you think that this series is maybe a tank duty for 𝘀𝗀, especially because 𝘀𝗀 is such a great side lane player, 𝘀𝗀cie?
I think it is actually. I mean, it's pretty much a boring answer, I would say, but I just expect the usual 𝘀𝗀 game here. Maybe get him even on the Mundo again, because the Mundo has looked great, even though it lost against 𝘀𝗀cie, weirdly enough. But that was not really his fault. I would say he was still very strong in that game, and I almost want to say I like him on Renekton, but this is not really the case. I do not love him on there, and I think depending on the draft, it would be a fine pick for him. But maybe the Renekton could be like a decent pick for him, depending on what the enemy top laner is picking. Then on the side of 𝘀𝗀, if you like picks Camille, you can maybe like at least punish the early game a little bit there and take over from there. But gotta say, I just want him to be on a stable tank pick, so you don't really have any risk on your side, on the side of Cerberus, if you like is on the Mundo, on the Gragas, or on the Tahm.
So before we will hear what you think, who's winning this best of 5 series, we are going into the predictions right now. We have one prediction from our head analysis, from our head analyst, Rakan, coming in. So have a lot of fun with the video.
Twitch chat, we've heard you. Here at VCS English, we always seek to give our fans what they want. And I know you want to know how to put a bet on the winning team. And we're ready to reveal to you, in time for playoffs, our 100% accurate betting technique. Come with me. Now, as you can see, Cerberus versus 𝘀𝗀cie. It's hard to predict who would win, but Rakan's never wrong. Cerberus, they're clearly going to win.
You get to avoid the pot this time, bud.
So our head analyst, I'm sorry, I can't spell the word, thinks that Cerberus Esports will win the series, and I guess we all agree with him right here. Coach Tim, starting with you, what do you think? What is your prediction, and why do you think so?
I think it's going to be 3-0 for Cerberus. I see a world where 𝘀𝗀cie maybe gets a game, but I think that Cerberus is a much better team, and it is more down to Cerberus just choking the series. Or choking one game for 𝘀𝗀cie to win. I think if all of the Cerberus players play anywhere close to their own potential, it's not going to even be close, and I don't think 𝘀𝗀cie stands any chance, even if they're overperforming on the day.
𝘀𝗀cie, what do you think?
I wouldn't write off 𝘀WWE that much, I would say. I have them taking one game here because I just think their top set is also pretty decent, and 𝘀𝗀 will have at least, I mean, if we say out of 3 games, he has 1 off game, the series is best of 5, so they have to win 3 games, and be like at least in the game 3, so one of those games will be an off game for 𝘀𝗀, and yeah, if 𝘀𝗀 ends the early game a little bit, 𝘂do gets back to his shocking tendencies, and maybe just 𝘁𝗀 focus on the bot lane, then there's like no winning side on the side of servers. I think that can only happen in like 1 out of 3 games, so I still have servers winning pretty convincingly, but I still think 𝘀WWE takes 1 game here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are very close to jump into the first pick and ban phase of this very important best of 5. It's the first semi-finals. Tomorrow there is the second one between 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 and 𝘀𝗀. The winners of those best of 5 series will take part in the finals on the 26th, and the losers will play for the 3rd place on the 25th, I guess. So let's talk a little bit about the picks, about the potential picks we will see before we jump into the pick and ban. Actually, we can jump into pick and ban phase really quick. Just one thing. Coach Tim, do you think this is a Morgana angle for 𝘀𝗀 because 𝘀𝗏 can't play against his champion?
Please don't pick Morgana. It's not a good champion. Also, we already see the bans, and we talked a bit about the Viktor before. It is locked in, and on the other side, it's looking like maybe the Sin for 𝘁𝗀, which I would like. It's something early aggressive to give him a chance to dominate the early game.
Yeah, with that, we are into the pick and ban phase, ladies and gentlemen, and the Viktor already has been picked by Cerberus Esports. 𝘀𝗀, I guess for you, this is not a big surprise.
Yeah, it's not a big surprise for me at all. I mean, Viktor, probably the pick I expected both mid laners to fight over. As I said, Blaze is the OG Viktor, 𝘂𝗀 maybe the new best Viktor of the league. Let's wait and see. Also, like the talent buy against 𝘁𝗀, not really surprising at all. Caitlyn also taken off the board. I would expect like maybe 𝘁𝗀 to have like some prior right now, but we also see 𝘁𝗀 for Blazes now, and 𝘁𝗀 is a very interesting new item build now. Maybe we see it this game, and that is also a very decent threat in the mid game, I gotta say. And also like it makes a lot of sense on the side of 𝘀𝗀. You need to have a plan against 𝘁𝗀 Viktor right now, and poke is one answer to him because you can just outrange him and maybe even proc the crown passive by just poking it off and waiting off until the shield or the damage reduction in this case just decays off, and like this you maybe have like one way in against the Viktor to fight him, and also you can just match scaling with scaling there, so I like the 𝘁𝗀 pickup.
Cerberus with the answer, Rel and Xin Zhao, maybe for 𝘂𝗀 and for 𝘂𝗀 and 𝘀𝗏. A very early game aggressive combo. Do you like that, Coach Tim?
It can work, of course, against champions like 𝘁𝗀. It is a bit risky to go Rel, because Rel's engaged is actually very slow if she doesn't flash it in. So it's very easy for 𝘁𝗀 to dodge and get out of the way with his own 𝘁𝗀, which is a very slow disengage spell. On the other hand, we're seeing Leona being locked in now as another engaged champion, and we see that AD carries are being delayed very heavily, and that's something we saw in the Demacia Cup with the LPL teams as well, is that Caitlyn is basically the fault of AD carry, and once she's out, nobody really gives the crap about what AD carry to pick. And we're seeing the same here. I'm expecting that Artemis has a big champion pool anyways, and Vit will find something to play. So I'm not even expecting AD carry bans. Okay, we see a Samira ban. Why?
Interesting, I would say interesting, the Samira ban, especially when we think about the last performance from Artemis on this champion. What do you think, 𝘀𝗀? Is this maybe an angle for an Artemis cheese pick right here?
I think it is because maybe Vit just thinks, hey, Jinx is open, let's just pick Jinx here, which would not be ideal with the Leona, I dare say. Maybe he actually defaults to the Jhin here. But either way, I think Artemis has like a decent Twitch angle in either situations of this, but they will last pick the AD carry on the side of 𝘀𝗀. To have like the counter pick for Vit, interestingly enough, and this is something we definitely didn't expect coming into this, and Camille just gets locked in for code, which is of course stable for him. So now Artemis, weirdly enough, as the AD carry on blue side, has to blind pick his pick, and this basically ruins the Twitch angle, which is of course very sad to see for us, because it would have been very exciting to see him on the cheese pick. He goes for the MF, which is a little bit boring, but also like a very stable pick, I dare say, and now 𝘀𝗀 gets to have their last laugh of the draft, so to say. I really wonder what they picked now. I think Jinx is still far from ideal here, even though usually I like it, and Jhin I think is much more likely here.
Yeah, but Jhin last pick is very, very not common, right? Because Jhin is a very safe pick right here. What do you think, Christian?
I mean, the reason they're not picking Jhin on 4 is not that they don't want to pick Jhin on 4. It's, I think, pretty much that they want to secure the 𝘁𝗻𝗄. Because for both team comps, 𝘁𝗻𝗄 is a very effective pick, and I think that just taking that away was more important to them, and AD carry didn't really matter. There was a lot open, so and counter picking that was just a plus. So I think both drafts are very solid all around, but I would favor so far the Cerberus draft. I think Pan is on the tank that has a good matchup into 𝘁𝗻𝗄. You have good early game over ego, and I think on the other hand, you of course have package, and it's me and 𝘁𝗍𝗏 sitting here, and we have a saying: whoever picks Malphite or 𝘁𝗀𝗏 wins the game. So I have to go with 𝘀𝗀ie.
Okay, so 𝘁𝗀𝗏 goes off from his prediction and predicts the first game. We'll go over to 𝘀𝗀ie. 𝘀𝗀ie, what do you think? Is this a 𝘀𝗀ie angle right here?
I think this is actually a 𝘀𝗀ie angle as well, but I don't think they will take it this game. I think they will take it in a different game of the series. I still would favor Cerberus here. I mean, they have Pan to really like stabilize the early game there with the top Kenshi to 𝘁𝗻𝗄. You then will have Yaro in the late game. Also, Xin Zhao, really good pick for ego because it's not that hard to int on him in the early game, and he still scales fine, I would say. And Artemis, 𝘁𝗏, just have a decent combo bot lane there. That also works fine for them. The Jhin last pick is kind of weird, but actually, I gotta agree that at least 𝘀𝗀ie's draft looks very well rounded. But I still have Cerberus taking game 1.
And with that, predictions from my beautiful analysts. I can introduce you. Okay, let me start another way. We do have a banger matchup today. Cerberus versus 𝘀𝗀ie, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to start off the playoffs with a banger. And of course, talking about bangers, we have maybe the best Western caster duo in the whole world. We have 𝘀𝗀𝗋 and 𝘁𝗀𝗏 casting you the game. Take it over, guys, and have a lot of fun with game number 1.
𝘁𝗀𝗋. Another split for you and me. Truly, what is this now? Our 5th together. It's been a long time for us in the VCS, and oh boy, I have loved every single second of it. We have a new organization entering the playoffs arena for the first time. Even when they were 𝘁𝗀𝗏, they never made it to playoffs. And Cerberus might finally be getting a taste of success in the playoffs, which they've never really had before. 𝘁𝗏, look at the game in front of us. How hyped are you?
Oh, I'm so excited for players finally to start. So many interesting things to look at. The draft has already given us, provided us with some newer looks on this patch. Of course, we're playing on live again. So the 𝘁𝗏𝗏 coming in here. But just overall, the two teams, both of them have so much to prove today. Especially Cerberus, of course, the chokers, the play of chokers perpetually, always, never winning a single best of 5 in this league. They have made it to playoffs so many times, looked promising, looked very strong, 3rd place multiple times, came in as favorites, but then fell down all the time in best of 5s. It's really not there. Strong suit so far, but they have acquired a new jungler. It's Ego. He has won the league already. He won the league the one time he was in playoffs, so they are giving him the chance to carry another team. And this time, they're also not 3rd place, they're at 4th place.
Oh, hang on, 𝘁𝗏𝗏. It gets off with a bang as Artemis, already on fire. He'll be taken down. Oh, they try and donate the kill. They can't quite do it, as H3 will claim it. The rel is going low. 𝘁𝗏𝗏 has to flash, and first blood of the playoff series goes to 𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗏.
Not only to 𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗏's bot lane against Cerberus of all places. This is the most surprising spot that First Blood could ever go to, because we expect this bot lane to be heavily in favor of Cerberus. All the evidence suggests this is going to be Cerberus's heaviest winning lane, especially in this matchup. The last time the two teams met, Cerberus ran over the bot lane. I believe Artemis got a triple kill very early on in the game. The game got out of hand super fast, but not this time. It's playoffs time. It's Cerberus in playoffs, and we see the first glimpses of doubt maybe creeping in super early in game 1 even.
So how did this happen? It looks like it was actually just an engage from 𝘁𝗏𝗏 gone wrong.
Yeah, Artemis just completely forgets about his own HP bar. 𝘁𝗏𝗏's engage was fine for the most part if you trade as 𝘁𝗏𝗏, because he was still full HP almost. But then Artemis follows up on the engage. They just,
Yano fires back as he has gotten the solo bolo. Victor going well early on, has managed to get on top of the 𝘁𝗏𝗏 somehow. Hopefully we get a replay soon, because Yado
He's got the title of choker, but starting off with a solo kill is not a bad way to get rid of that.
I think maybe Blazers got surprised by the rune choice here, or mastery choice, I should say, from 𝘀𝗀, because
have a
this is
look.
unusual. We see a lot of first strike victors. This victor is going
His
for Ares, so more...
flashes are already down at this point. Oh, no, sorry. That,
No,
the
they
bottom
flashed
is
you.
wrong. Yeah, the bottom is wrong. Yeah, correct. My mistake.
Just a good chase down, and this is of course the greatest start you can ever look for. First pick on blue side, 𝘀𝗀 victor. 𝘀𝗀 is the most scrutinized player on Cerberus, I'd say, the most famous for choking. As Pan is under a lot of pressure now in top lane 𝘁𝗁, this should be an easy kill.
Yeah, Abyssal dive out of there, though. He's going to build up quite a lot of grey health, pops it early. There's an ignite on 𝘁𝗁. He has to get away, and the 𝘁 survives.
Oh, Pan, the weak side tank king, coming in and tanking another amazing first attempt from 𝘁𝗁. This is super important for 𝘀𝗀.
Look how
They
deep
can't
that
get
TP
going.
is.
It's
That's one
really
line up.
Sorry, come again?
I'm just saying, it was such a deep TP. Like, this buy is coded, no space. You just got a gank and you're still pushed under your tower.
Yeah, not only did you get a gank, you invested the flash from 𝘁𝗁, you invested Coated's summoner spells, and you got nothing off this. And Pan is still going to dominate this matchup now. As you can see, the Q is already hurting way too much. Coated has nothing to fight back, especially on the tower. So this is a lot of time invested, a lot of resources spent into the top lane. They've done this many, many times. Usually 𝘀𝗀 plays around the top side, try to accelerate Coated into the late game. But Pan is the perfect player to play against this style. Just weak side all day. He doesn't care. He has decent CS numbers still. Yeah, he is behind on average, but it doesn't matter because he plays those champions that don't need as many resources, like the Tahm Kench. And we've seen the pop off on this one.
Ron-OP's in so much trouble. That should be an easy kill, but no, he crashes down and he gets away.
Nicely done. Ron-OP the one to poke his head out, so Artemis can be safe. No flash, of course, on Artemis. 𝘀𝗀 do get bot side control, and after the first blood in bot lane, they've constantly been pushing up the lane, so this should be a first dragon secured for 𝘀𝗀, basically for free. Nothing really for Cerberus to retaliate with. So it's just an invade on the top side, just 2 camps for ego. That's not good enough for the dragon. So bot side pressure and individual outplays in the bot lane in favor of 𝘀𝗀, leading to the first objective of the game going over to their side.
I feel like this gank never works. He has just gone over to the
V6
Krugs. He is, but it's a 𝘁𝗁. She just hook shots, right? We go back down to the bot lane where Artemis has been taken extremely low and 𝘁𝗁 now shows himself. There is no teleport to come save this bot lane. They just need to run. They'll be able to do so, but this is not where we expected 𝘀𝗀 to be getting a lead.
This is the exact opposite of what I expect. This is what typically happens in Cerberus' bot lane domination games, where they just push up the lane constantly. Jungler comes to shadow, they force the enemy bot lane off their tower and just incrementally grow their lead in the bot lane. We see a 10 CS lead getting there for VCS, and it's going to be a plating under his belt as well. So this is really going better than anyone could have expected against Artemis, the almost unanimous MVP pick for the regular season. But we're not in regular season anymore.
No,
this is a different playing field.
It's not normally Artemis that falls down. In the past, it's mostly been 𝘀𝗀. It's mostly been Cerberus's junglers as well. Artemis has been a rock. Look, part of it is the matchup, right? Jhin is extremely strong in lane. Misfortune, not so much. But if this is suddenly a point of strength for 𝘀𝗀, I think all of the analysis goes out the window.
Certainly, in the first game, of course, we have more games
We're
to
only
look
very
at,
early in.
maybe it's just a little bit of jitters, a little bit of nerves coming in the first game, and clearly Cerberus is under much more scrutiny, much more pressure coming into today. 𝘀𝗀, new organization, as you pointed out, never even made players as 𝘁𝗀, and 𝘁𝗀 was in the league for quite some time, so they've already accomplished their goal. Of course, they want to win today, but it's much more important for Cerberus and to finally quash that best of 5 curse, you could say, or maybe their own curse, cursing themselves. So yeah, I think they're coming in with more pressure as 𝘁3 is on the top side. He's not level 6, Ron-OP isn't either. So we have both supports lacking a little bit behind.
But
this could be the first big
we
team
have
fight.
a curtain call and no bullet time. So the ADCs are very different as the Hextech Ultimatum comes out, used onto Pun. I actually think that's a bit of a waste there from Coded.
Coded is completely useless now.
Yeah, Coded can't do anything, but Blazers is coming in with a package. The Smite will go in, so Cerberus get the objective, but can they get away from the fight? The Make It Rain is there to try and buy 𝘁𝗏 a little bit of time. As as Pun moves into the backside, he'll go down. The Rel will follow him. Vit moving over, he gets zoned out by 𝘀𝗏, but with the jungler in the middle of the enemy team, Ego dies, and Cerberus, all 3 heads have been cut!
Cerberus, what happened to you? You're usually so good at assessing situations and knowing when and where to engage, but in this case, just going into the 𝘁𝗏cie much faster at moving out of mid lane, even though 𝘀𝗏 dominated him individually.
Artemis, this
nothing
is
for him to
dangerous.
do. He does have flash again, but they should have an easy time diving him. There we go.
There's the flash. He gets away from the Sonic Wave, and now 𝘁𝗏 arrives. The turret's doing a lot of damage. The 𝘁𝗏cie will go down. 1-for-1. 𝘁𝗏queen low. 𝘀𝗏 on the way. Can they find him? Flashing forward. Siphons the power. Takes him down.
In the end, they get 2 kills back, so maybe a little bit of an overstep for 𝘀𝗏cie. Very typical 𝘀𝗏cie play. They do like to go a little too hard, especially when it comes to dives. So in the end, overplaying their cards a little bit, could have just backed and used their pressure from the teamfight win. They're still 1k gold ahead and got the first dragon as well, so they're in a decent position in this game, but they need to calm down a little bit to not overplay all of their situations. I hope we get another look at this teamfight, because it was just a big disconnect between the Cerberus players. There we go. Look at Blazes here. They spot Blazes on this ward, so they know he's coming. They know he has a package as well. And they still try to engage on Blazes, and yeah, he almost goes down to Pun, but then no one can really chase into him, and yeah, Victor isn't even on our screens right now, so all the mid lane pressure from early in this game, from the solo kill, goes to nothing. And Cerberus just faltering at the seams after already securing the... Yeah, you really have to think about this. They didn't have to go for the fight. They already got the objective. So they could have just disengaged, especially looking at Blazes coming in with the package. That's scary. You don't ever want to fight against the better Rumble ultimate for free. So yeah, just an oversight for Cerberus, and let's see if they can recover and settle into this best of 5.
One bright spot is that 𝘀𝗏's actually playing well so far. 𝘁𝗏, don't step too far forward. That bush is very dark. And there are monsters awaiting. Does manage to get away though. Good sweeper, good dodge away from the Zenith Blade. The Rel will be really? Okay. Oh, they were scared because the collapse was coming in. That makes a lot of sense. I missed that one. Fair enough. Good kick to get out of that one from 𝘁𝗏queen.
Well, that's now kicked being down for dragon spawning, so Cerberus in a very good position to equalize the dragon count, with Victor also in complete control of the mid wave right now. He's 2-0 already, so sitting on 1 evolution at this point, close to his 2nd evolution, which is a huge power spike, of course. So yeah, this is an easy control from both sides of the bot side jungle to get the 2nd dragon, so everything is equal again. Let's see what rift we are going to for the first time in playoffs. We do have all 6 dragons unlocked, so...
Couldn't see the sigil. We'll find out momentarily, I'm sure. Yeah, it is going to be an Infernal Rift, so 𝘁𝗏cie. No preseason dragons to be found in this game. As the Herald is summoned up in the mid lane, they want to put more gold onto 𝘀𝗏. That makes a lot of sense to me. This Victor needs to ascend to godhood. The evolution must come fast in this game. As you said, it's trucking on pretty great.
And we have seen close early games between these two teams. They've played 5 games against each other. 2 of them were complete stomps and blowouts for Cerberus, but 2 of them were very close early games where sometimes even 𝘀𝗏cie got the advantage. But 𝘀𝗏cie only won a single game against Cerberus, all split. And one of the crucial points in this matchup is definitely mid and late game, where Cerberus seems to have complete control and a very big advantage when it comes to setups, to teamfights. So now it's for 𝘀𝗏cie to show us they're on even footing coming into the mid and late game. What can they do to not fall behind in teamfights, to not fall prey to Cerberus's excellence when it comes to fighting later? And I think a lot of it has to come from the top side. Usually, Coded is their main carry, or one of their main carries. Very high damage numbers compared to especially Pun, who of course goes for tanks more often, so not a slight against Pun, but You can see the playstyle 𝘀cie much more focused on picking top lane carries and carrying through the top lane. We saw some early attempts to accelerate 𝘀𝗀. He's 102 after the team fight, so he's doing alright, but he needs much more time to be effective at pushing down tower after tower in the side lane.
He does. Blazes is on the move, has another go at the package. But I don't know if 𝗀𝗃 is really going to be the answer. But of course, with a Hextech ultimatum, you can lock him down. 𝘀 has to find a way to get back to his tower. There's the ultimatum. A teleport's coming in. The shield comes up. They're going to blow him up before a response comes in. 𝘂do arrives, but all he'll get is CS. No, he charges on forward, rips out the Chaos Storm, wants to burn them all to the ground. One more zap, one more zap. No! 𝘁𝗀cie will survive.
Oh, Blazes! Playing with laser there, not even just fire. Almost dying for free for another evolution stack for 𝘂do, but in the end, it's a successful game.
Ego using the mechanics as he wind becomes lightning, flashes forward, crashes the plane, and 𝘀𝗀 is found in the wreckage.
Do you really have to attack 𝘀? Oh no, it's Jhin against TK again. It's my favorite matchup in the game. Not quite. This time 𝘀 can't walk him down. Is it really the correct call to try and kill 𝘀 over and over again? Because you have to invest so many resources to actually kill this 𝘀𝗃. He went down relatively quickly. I didn't expect him to fall on this quickly. But of course, Blazes bringing AP damage and 𝘀𝗀 with the AD and true damage. It's very hard to itemize for 𝘀 against this kind of damage split.
Ignite as well.
Ignite as well, definitely. And yeah, you can see he actually gets burst down by Blazes in no time whatsoever. But a huge thing is Ignite and tower shot coming down on Blazes, so he drops down to almost no HP whatsoever. 𝘀𝗀 is super squishy as well. And the rest is just Cerberus being there in time, being able to defend 𝘀 after he goes down. So playing with the weak side power for 𝘀. He's not going to thank them too much for this, because he didn't really get anything. Not a single assist going 𝘀's way.
You know what he got your way? You know what he got? A 3-0 victor. That's what he got.
Correct.
And
absolutely.
I want to ask you something, because our analyst... Oh, hang on a minute. No, nothing's going to happen over there. Good flash by 𝘀𝗀. Our analyst talked about how 𝘁𝗀ie could, use his rockets to pop the crown of the Shattered Queen. I don't see a crown. I see a Ludens. We might have to come back for it. Good deny there on the Leona, trying to come in. The Jhin ultimate will do not much of anything. It will just be a blue buff steal.
It's a lot of pressure applied from 𝘀𝗀ie out of seemingly nowhere. They just use their power, their numbers to go for the invade. In the end, it's just a blue buff for potentially a whole bot lane tower. As we get another look, the steal from 𝘁𝗀. I didn't actually catch that. Very nicely done. 𝘁𝗀 just taking away this objective. It's a kill though, so second Herald traded for a kill. Honestly, sometimes not worth it. Second Herald would have been able to break the mid tower, so maybe it's a valiant effort. Still a kill going over to Ego, so he's very far accelerated, super strong mid-game bruiser who's going to buy time for 𝘂𝗀do and Artemis in teamfights. And this composition as a whole for Cerberus is so hard to crack because you have two very stationary but super strong carries in the backline with a lot of range and an insane amount of power, and then 3 bruiser tanks in the front line that are so hard to bypass. So 𝘀𝗀ie really needs the flank from Blazes and maybe from 𝘀𝗀 to get on top of the backline.
That push is very controlled your way.
It is indeed.
It's under full control of 𝘀𝗀ie. They've got both the fellas there to make sure of it. And I think a dragon fight is brewing as both teams are moving on down.
We do have 𝘂𝗀do, I should say, walking down slowly. He's only level 10. If they catch him in rotation, they might be able to kill him. Nope. Very good understanding from 𝘀 to know he needs to be a little bit more careful. He's a tank, but he's a little bit behind right now, so doesn't actually live for too long if he just walks into 3-4 members. So he just groups up with Artemis, and they should be able to reconquer territory here. They're already on the dragon, so Cerberus playing it slowly, playing it very controlled, and they are going to get to a free second dragon. Of course, Seoul is still far away, so 𝘀𝗀ie also under no pressure to contest this by just giving up all of their positioning. So I think we see some restraint shown from both of these teams, which is a little bit unusual for the VCS.
It is a little bit strange, but if any team was going to do it, it would be Cerberus. 𝘀𝗀ie, I guess, following in their footsteps. This is the semi-final. They're stepping up to the occasion. Your way. As the first tower will fall, 𝘀𝗀 continuing to ascend, building himself a way to carry his team. This Victor is terrifying. We didn't get to talk about it. What do you think of this change in build?
Okay, the build is another part. I actually want to zoom out a little bit before we talk about the build in particular and talk about 𝘀𝗀 as a player. You teased it a little bit with his playoff performances, of course, being dreadful, especially the last 2 times we saw him. But he has another champion. He is the king of Victor, and Victor is so strong right now. So this is an encouraging performance for all the Cerberus fans. It's not the most dominant game for the whole team, but their mid laner, the one player under the most scrutiny in players, is doing more than well. He's on 2 items already. He's carrying his team so far. And he was the one choking the hardest so far in players all the time we saw Cerberus. So this is reassuring for all the fans, and I think 𝘀𝗀 has found another gear this whole split, being the control mage master. He started with a solo kill. This is the perfect way to go into a playoff series where you finally want to overcome your best of 5 curse.
It's very true. That is a powerful curse as well. Truly a dark wizard did 𝘀𝗀 curse, but perhaps he has finally overcome them, as you said. The rest of Cerberus are scaling up. As you said, it's not the greatest performance out of the rest of them, but 2 items are coming in for everyone except, of course, top jungle support. So basically, the ADC is what I'm getting at, as another tower will break. Cerberus, after a shaky early game, they just stabilize, and once they get into this kind of mode, what do you even do?
And this happens against all the teams. This happened also in their 0-2 defeat to Sky. And you might look at the score and say, oh, no time for that. Look at 𝘀𝗀's positioning. He has a very long flank. He's spotted, though.
No package, so he actually just kind of hops away, and Cerberus just read it and go, don't want to mess with it, and just disengage.
He had a package when he went there first. I think the package expired on his way to the flank. That's very unfortunate for 𝘀𝗀. Yeah. He used the normal W at the end, probably thinking he still had the package, so close timing. And Cerberus needs to be careful to handle this 𝘀𝗀 well. This bought enough time for 𝘀𝗀 to get 1 tower back. We're nowhere close to objective bounties, though, so it's just a little bit more gold funneled into 𝘀𝗀, which is important.
Oh, ego going low. He'll go down as 𝘀𝗀 follows the flash with the Q. Now 𝘀𝗀, not where he wants to be. They make it rain over onto Blazes, but they need to make it rain a hell of a lot harder. If they're going to get out of this one, they need to turn on the storms. As 𝘀𝗀 just runs away, Cerberus will escape. As they bear down now onto 𝘀𝗀. There's the 𝘁𝗄𝗶𝗄 ultimatum. They sign him up. They take him down.
Very nicely done from 𝘀𝗀, instantly collapsing on the other side of the fight, and 𝘀𝗀 has no flash, so once he commits to poking his head into the enemy jungle, he's an easy target. He doesn't have any CC to really speak of. And now Cerberus in a big pickle with this Baron going down.
They're going to make it happen. There's the Magnet Storm. They immediately blow up Blazes. The 𝘀𝗀 has gone down. Mayday, mayday. As H3, he goes low. He's on the wrong side of the track. 𝘀𝗀 chases him down, and Victor gets another.
Kill after kill after kill to 𝘀𝗀. Now the counter Baron on the cards. Ego is sprinting towards the Baron. It's risky though. 𝘀𝗀 is still here.
Yeah, he is still here. There's the Q going in, but it is Smite v Smite. Of course, Lee Sin has ways to make it not quite a 50-50. I think he should go for this. I don't think there's a reason not to. Ego is going low, is tanking Baron's spikes. 𝘀𝗀 still around, gets another tag, but with that laser, I think he just has to back off. This is going to be a Cerberus Baron.
𝘀𝗀,
Oh, look how low he is. Careful. Oh boy, they're committing a teleport your way. This is round 2. Baron will be smited, but they want to kill them on the way out. I don't think they can. He doesn't have a package. They're just going to walk out.
Blaze is looking a little bit unpracticed. I don't want to say unpracticed, but a little bit uncomfortable, definitely on the 𝘀𝗀, dying level 2 or 3, and now messing up some of the combos, getting caught here. Very nice engage though from 𝘀𝗀, really showing us why he's the king of engages, once again seeing the rogue member of the enemy team.
I don't think it's fair to put this one on Blazes. I think this is a bad Baron call.
That's true as well. I actually wanted to talk about this. 𝘀𝗀 has been successful with Baron calls and Baron sneaks against Cerberus, so it makes sense for them to go for it again. But honestly, yeah, you killed 2 members, but the main carries are still alive, and this Victor is insanely strong, especially in the Baron pit. So next time, don't just count members, actually look at the members that are still alive, and if there's a victor with 3 or 4 kills, maybe you don't go for the Baron, because that is one scary prospect to fight, and now Cerberus in a very good position in this game. Only 1k gold ahead, but they don't need the gold. They are moving towards all the objectives. 𝘀𝗀.
Queen, he's found himself a friend, but do you really want this one? He's not very friendly. It's a big robot. The Terminator's here. And now they're moving it on to 𝘀𝗀. The hook shot's good, though.
And unfortunately, this is one we have seen so many times in this matchup. Whenever the game is close in the early game, or even in 𝘀𝗀cie's favor, Cerberus find ways in the mid game to stabilize, to get objective after objectives, to slow down the game, make it more consistent. And in the end, their teamfight setups, their understanding of
Over the wall goes 𝘀𝗀. He is OP as he lands the big Magnet Storm. They pick up Blazers early on. Into the backside does go to Leona, but it does absolutely nothing. 𝘀𝗀 does get one back, but it's a consolation prize. He gets to gnaw on his frog legs, but Cerberus gets to gnaw on the base. And I know which one's a more nutritious meal.
Where did they go? 𝘀𝗀cie just evaporates in their own base to the victor. I'm not sure if they have the time, but it looks like they're going to try and finish 20 seconds.
They've got Baron minions, yeah. They've got time. As into the backside does go 𝘀𝗰𝗏, boots the ego away. Does have to go gold, but it doesn't matter. He's taken down. It's another kill for 𝘀𝗀. And who's choking? It's not Cerberus as they choke 𝘀𝗀ciery out. What a performance from 𝘀𝗀. The playoff jitters are dead, and they're up 1-0 your way.
What is start to this best of 5? What is start to the players? Cerberus are here to show everyone they are first seed. They are coming for the title. They've beat every team almost twice. Only Sky standing in their way. But 𝘀𝗀ciery definitely not up to the task here. Cerberus win through strong mid game and late game as they've always done. And what a performance for 𝘀𝗀 to silence all the haters.
And we will be back in about 7 minutes with the VCS English Analyst Desk to break down all of the action, all of the plays of Game 1. And don't worry, we've got plenty of game left to go. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back on the VCS English Analyst Desk after this very exciting game number 1 between 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀𝗀 and 𝘀𝗀cie. And in the early game, Coach Tim, it looked actually very well for 𝘀𝗀cie esports, especially after this level 1 engage from 𝘀𝗀 in the bot lane. Can you break down what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, 𝘀𝗀 went in on the rel, and usually when you see level 1 engages with rel, it's usually with mount up, not with mount down. So not with jump, but with the flip. And he went in, and then 𝘀𝗀miss stepped up to the Leona, hugged her a bit, got stunned, and 4-shotted. And then, yeah, I mean, from there, it was an easy kill pickup. I think a small mistake, or like a mistake that we don't often see from the duo of 𝘀𝗀miss and 𝘀𝗀. And definitely a small choke going into game 1. But on the other hand, 𝘀𝗀, who was known for choking in the playoffs, I mean, he got a solo kill off for himself. So I think it all was in balance, and in the end, 𝘀𝗀 just was a much better mid-game team. They knew what to do, and 𝘀𝗀cie, they looked a bit lost on their team comp, and specifically on the 𝘁𝗀cie.
Definitely so, and I would also like highlight 𝘀𝗀 even a little bit more there. I mean, he was known as a Joker. He is like maybe the reverse Joker this time. Getting a solo kill at the minute 4 on Victor against the 𝘁𝗀ie, absolutely insane. Him getting the takedowns was basically their saving grace in this early game because it looked really horrid for them. Also, Pan in the Ignite time 𝘁𝗫 not winning lane against Camille is not really a good sign for them either. And 𝘀𝗀 just had his team's back this game. Absolutely. I mean, also this catch onto Blazes later on, where Blazes package timing was suboptimal to say the least. Also got punished really well by him there. Really like 𝘁𝗀, who had a rough level 1, as we just now highlighted. Kind of found the great engage there as well onto him there. And I really like to see 𝘀𝗀 stabilizing here and showing that they do not always completely choke the series as soon as playoffs arise.
As you pointed out, the early game didn't go very well for 𝘀𝗀 esports. We can remember this fight at the Herald, where they actually lost 3 members, lost the fight, and had 1.5k gold. Yeah, they were 1.5k gold behind. Coach Tim, do you think that this bad early game was a result of 𝘀𝗀 esports just being nervous?
I'm not sure what it was. I mean, this game 1 of the series, so we're expecting maybe a few mistakes and them just warming up, and we might see a cleaner game 2. And overall, 𝘀𝗀 is a team that dominated the season, yes, but often enough also wasn't really too good in the early game. I think their real strength was in the mid game, was in the late game, and I think there they didn't waver at all. And also 𝘀𝗀, who had that level 1 engage, he was insane for the rest of the game. His rel engages won every single fight. I think he always found the 𝘁𝗀ie. He always made sure that the 𝘁𝗀ie would die first in these team fights, and I think that is a big strength that 𝘀𝗀 have, the team fight execution, and that was still there.
Yeah, after the bad early game, they stabilized in the mid game. They took back the game. They went into the driver's seat. 𝘀𝗀cie, I guess the turning point of the whole series, of the whole game, was this Nash fight, right?
It definitely was. I mean, it was just Blaze instantly getting caught there. Also, later on, he had to like TP up there, and they couldn't really stop the Nash anymore. It just had to TP for Drake priority there on the side of Blazes, and the fight was just well team fought by the side of 𝘀𝗀, and you usually do not expect this from a team that is known as playoff chokers. Also has shown some signs of choking in this particular game, and I mean, just 𝘀𝗀miss, I gotta highlight that a little bit. He played these team fights pretty well, I would say. His laning phase was, of course, not what we expect from 𝘀𝗀miss. He was, also getting 1-0 in level 1 skirmish. Then later on, he didn't really get any CS advantage against the Jhin, which is unusual for him, I would say. But those team fights, I mean, they aren't that hard to play on them. With the bullet time, really just onto CC. But other than that, you still need to kite, right? And 𝘀𝗀miss did that very, very finely. Also, Ego, one thing about him, I think he was maybe like the griefing part of this Van Herald skirmish we had earlier, but later on, with like 𝘀𝗀 getting the first few takedowns, he was ready for them, was ready to dive just so 𝘀𝗀 gets his kills onto Victor, gets his assists going on, so he gets the glorious evolutions accelerated. And him being on a suicide mission, there was also like one of the points that was running very well for 𝘀𝗀.
And talking about dives, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to dive into the second pick and ban phase of this serious 𝘀𝗀 esports versus 𝘀𝗀cie esports. I'm very excited what this will bring to us. We have the thrash ban against 𝘀𝗀 on the side of 𝘀𝗀cie. Coach Tim, I guess this is not a big surprise.
I mean, not at all. I think 𝘀𝗀 has looked very, very well on the thrash. He only really struggled against Morgana, and again, yeah, Thresh Morgana usually is a matchup that Thresh players are able to play just because they've played it 100 times, and it is like a 45-55 Morgana favorite matchup, but still very much playable for the Thresh. Lee Sin now being harbored as a ban here against Ego. They're just trying to take away some of Ego's options.
I think this is also maybe like the way in for the side of 𝘀𝗀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 and especially 𝘁𝗀𝗃, because 𝘁𝗀𝗃 we know he has like the champion ocean going on for him, and Lee Sin being taken out, his talent of course being banned, and 𝘁𝗏 was like this stabilizing pick for Cerberus to some extent, I would say. It's good in the early game still, scales finally with the projectile blocking off with the Crescent Guard, and maybe you go early for 𝘁𝗏, but they decide otherwise and go for the Twisted Fate, which of course then leaves Yado Victor open again, and we are in for a lot of fun, I would say, on the side of Cerberus. Gotta say though, Twisted Fate, with his Destiny Roams early on, can influence the side lanes very much, and also shuts down any potential split pushing coming out. But as I just think of it, Pan isn't really known for that either way, so maybe the Twisted Fate pick not ideal for them, but let's wait and see what they pull off, because Artemis surely won't like having TF on his enemy team.
Yeah, I think TF was banned last game, if I remember right. Because if not, it would be a bit surprising, because seeing that Cerberus went for the Victor first pick in the last game, I would have expected maybe for them to go to the Xin Zhao early. I really wouldn't like the Graves here. I think TF wants to have a strong jungle partner. He wants to have something to play the early game, to play early aggressive, and I think the Xin Zhao would have fit that mold, but it is going to be the Graves, which is more of an invading style, so where the Graves wants to invade the enemy jungle and then TF follows him up, and the question is, can they execute on that?
And the question is if it is even the Graves jungle, because we have seen Kodo play Graves top lane, which is something I think our resident caster would like much more here. I've seen this camera earlier, and he was really disgusted at first. I've seen the Graves pick, which is of course understandable, because it is not that unlikely that 𝘁𝗀𝗃 picks it up, and we wouldn't really want to see the Grave there. And now Alistar, your favorite champion, gets picked up, so we are in for a wild ride on the side of 𝘀𝗀𝗃. But gotta say though, I do not always hate Alistar as much as you do. I think against Leona you have like some ways where it makes some sense, at least not with maybe Aphelios, which was something that was basically by trigger point at a different point of time. And yeah, Tahm Kench now gets picked up again for Pan, and I'm not really seeing so far how 𝘀𝗀𝗃 punishes the comfort much on the side of Cerberus.
I mean, first of all, I think Alistar is a great pick if level 1s are not being punished. And so far, I've learned something in the VCS, level 1s are not being punished at all. So I think it's actually a good pick. Like, it has weaknesses, but if they're not exploited, then it's a good champion. And I mean, seeing how there is a Tahm Kench pick for top lane for a Pan again, I would love to see the Graves for 𝘁𝗃 into that. Just free farm the Graves, put him in a position where he just dominates the Tahm Kench, and you can play the game from there. Pick yourself an early aggressive jungler to support that the whole thing, and you have a good team comp going on for you. So I would love to see the Graves going towards the top lane and not really going towards the jungle position. But seeing how they banned both the Jarvan and Xin Zhao, I wouldn't really expect it. I would expect the Graves to go jungle.
By now I would agree with that. Also, like Cerberus banning out more top lanes, so they also assume that it will be the Graves jungle here. But gotta say, maybe even because of those bans, they will default to going for Graves top lane, which I would very much appreciate here, going for Kai'Sa now, and they will actually last pick the jungler. And I'm not really sure like which jungle options are really left for him. I mean, there's still the Viego, but we all know how much you really wouldn't like to see that, right?
No, I think there's still Nocturne. Considering the rest of the team comp, I think that could be a valid pick if you want to go for it. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing now the Graves is going jungle, which of course we don't particularly like, but we have to live with it. And I wanted to say, is this going to be one of the really, really old school matchups, like Kai'Sa Leona versus Alistar Tristana? Like, this would be like a beginning of season or end of last season matchup that we would constantly see, and it seems to be back for now.
It seems to be back indeed. Yeah, also Tristana pretty decent against Kai'Sa, I would say. I mean, Kai'Sa right now, some say not even a champion, but it is slowly coming back as I see other leagues right now. And maybe like there's some angle that Kai'Sa assassinated Tristana later on in the game when she gets like a multiple item power spike and has some decent damage there with her spell upgrades, with getting the 180 AP and the attack speed buff going on. And yeah, your favorite jungler also gets locked in for Ego, which of course means, I gotta say, very weak early game mid jungle on the side of Cerberus. And also the bot lane, I mean, Kai'Sa Leona is decent, but it could just maybe be this time 𝘀𝗀𝗃 bowling over.
And big question that I have...
I'm sorry.
I have to. I have one last point. Is the big question is: are we playing on 1124 A or B? That is a huge difference, because if you're playing on the B patch, then we know that we can't see it because we only say 1124, and it was like a hotfix thing going on, so it isn't a patch of itself. If you're playing on the 1124B, then 𝘁𝗃 got triple buffed, which would be huge, because that means 𝘁𝗃 has a very much stronger item build. He can go more of an AP style once again, can build some AP items in there, and I'm interested to see if that actually happens.
And with that, we are going to the predictions, starting with you, Coach Tim. We have to do it a little bit quicker, I guess. 𝘀𝗀 locked in by Cerberus Esports, your favorite jungler, but you said, okay, 𝘁𝗃 might be a very good pick for them. Do you think they can take the second game?
I mean, they should. I would favor them to win. I think 𝘀𝗀 being on the Victor once again will just dominate the game, and I think Pan will just be solid. 𝘀𝗀 will probably be solid, and then Artemis and 𝘀𝗀. I believe if somebody can pull off the 𝘁𝗃, it's definitely going to be Artemis, and we'll have to see if that actually happens.
𝘀𝗀, do you agree on that?
I do agree somewhat. Gotta say, 𝘀𝗀 has potentially 3 winning lanes here, but I don't think they really have the guts to finish it quick enough. I think 𝘀𝗀 Victor still too scary, and 𝘁𝗃 on the 11.24B patch actually very scary for Artemis as well. So despite the good draft for 𝘀𝗀, I also have it like Cerberus goes 2-0 here.
And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are giving over to our casters. 𝘁𝗃 and 𝘀𝗀 take it over and take us through game number 2.
Thank you very much, 𝘀𝗀ci. Oh, 𝘁𝗃, we are only into our second game of playoffs, but I can already feel the tension rising to sea levels. Are you ready for game 2?
Oh, I am your way. I am so ready. Ego has gone to what has become a bit of a signature champion in this 𝘀𝗀. He has had some absurdly good performances. He's also had some clangers, though. So, the Ruined King, whose hopes will he be ruining this game? It could be some friendly fire. Blazers on his Twisted Fate is something I think 𝘀𝗀ci fans will be happy to see as well. Your way, I'm just excited.
So I am actually very happy to see 𝘀𝗀ci completely change the style of draft they are trying to play. They tried to counter the Victor in game 1 with just scaling, just going control mage against, well, I'll just call 𝘁𝗀ci control mage as well. Just trying to go into the late game and try to be stronger than them in team fights. Definitely not the way to go. The Victor was way too strong. They give away Victor again. Some people might say, wow, this is a huge mistake. Basically making the read, okay, we can't play Victor ourselves because that hinders our early game and mid game and mid jungle too much. So we have to find a way to beat the Victor. And this could really evolve into, bot lane traits. As always.
Alright. Oh, Sepia Rift. Oh dear, oh dear. We have to have one. We have to have a pause in the VCS. It wouldn't be right.
But the Victor pick could really evolve as the driving pick for the whole series, not just a game or two. But it's not banned. A little bit surprising maybe. After game 1, they had the opportunity to first pick the Victor, instead they go TF. So this is a very different approach. Now we're not looking at teamfight and outscaling. 𝘀𝗀ci is basically putting a clock on their own composition and saying, okay, we can't beat you in the late game. We have consistently lost every teamfight to Cerberus. There's no way we beat you. So we are going to try something very different. We are trying to go to the one game we've actually won against you, which was all through mid-jungle domination. Early invades from Killer Queen, Graves, a good invading jungler. Not the greatest to get kills while invading, because he doesn't bring any CC, but maybe Blazes can supplement some CC and they can catch Ego, who has been a little bit over-aggressive from time to time, especially in the early stages on 𝘀𝗀, on maybe a rotation or a buff or something. So, we're back already.
We're back in.
Very nice to see. So I am really happy to see this change from 𝘀𝗀ci. Now, I do not know if it's enough to really push them over the line, but it's good to see them attempting different things to break Cerberus, because game 1 was a 25-minute game. You do not want to give up another 25-minute victory, and with this composition, that is very unlikely to happen. Even if you lose, you probably lose late in team fights, so more life coming out from 𝘀𝗀ci's draft, more agency, especially through mid-jungle, and the top side should just dominate all the matchups.
It certainly should, but you know, this is Cerberus. I feel like they can always pull rabbits out of hats. And if we're talking about victories, 𝘀𝗏 is definitely looking to repeat game 1. As the junglers are just finishing up their clear. Both of them finish on the bottom side, so there could be a visit down to these 80 carries soon. 𝘀𝗀 just a little bit ahead, so... Ooh, 𝘁𝗀𝗰𝗀 dashing over the wall, though. This is a smite fight, and it's going to be won easily there by Ego. 𝘁𝗀𝗀 now moving forward with the smoke screen, but the smoke from the 𝘀𝗀 is good. But now there's a blue buff fight. He skipped this to get to the crab on time.
Oh, it's
H3
a clash.
is here.
Everyone is here.
Yeah, but this is a rough one. Pun can't really TP here. He's pushed under tower. The cannon can. Oh, I don't think Ego can possibly smite this. He can't. That's given over to 𝘁𝗀𝗀. That's an early lead for the Graves.
And the flash from 𝘀𝗀, that's huge, but the fight is not over. They're still here. They're ready.
Oh, that's a low cow there, taken down very, very low. Who goes down first? Mono-P flashing away. They jump over the wall to chase him. They do it well. Both top laners now arrive. It's a huge knock up there. Ego possessing the cow, doing it well. 𝘁𝗀𝗀 on the other side gets one. Ego goes down finally. Now 𝘀𝗀 is low. He's going to go down to the bomb of VCS. There it is. The Tristana is fallen. Artemis so low. 𝘁𝗀𝗀, can you do anything? No, he just swims away through the blood of his team.
And it's 𝘁𝗀𝗀 who's dominating the fight. It's 𝘁𝗀𝗀 running away with all the kills. He's on Graves. We were very skeptical of Graves. I'm always very skeptical of Graves, to be fair. But this is what they try to do. This is quintessential win condition for 𝘀𝗀𝗏 into Cerberus. Invade early, invade hard, go all out in the early game and try to attack Cerberus where they are weakest. And this composition especially is also weak, just as a composition. 𝘀𝗀 tried to cover for his jungler, because Ego probably just directed 𝘀𝗀 to him and said, I need your help. But 𝘀𝗀 wasn't ready. If we look at the replay soon, he was low on mana, he had very bad positioning, he's level 4 Victor, which is utterly worthless. So look at 𝘀𝗀 here. He has mana for one spell, then he has to flash away because H3 is already on his heels. Blazes zones him off completely. 𝘀𝗀 is out of the fight. Blazes can still participate if he walks back into here. Meanwhile, the fight happens on the other side, and it actually looks decent for Ego, especially as he gets the first reset here.
It's not a reset, though. He's not level 6.
Yeah,
what is he resetting?
He does not have the ultimate. So even though it looks scary, because every time you see 𝘀𝗀 start off with all the possessions, he's not that menacing before level 6. He can't really snowball the into different kills, because he doesn't have the ultimate, as you pointed out. So it's just a little bit of extra CC as he possesses the cow. And he does do a pretty good job.
It's actually, like, that's one of those really interesting scenarios where it's a real weakness of 𝘀𝗀, because he takes over the Alistar and hits a 2-man knockup. You're like, oh, that's great, right? You use the Alistar really well. Yeah, but you can't get out. Like, exactly. you don't want alistar anymore. You want to get out of the cow, but you're stuck in Mootown, and you don't want to be there. And without that, like, that fight was sort of a game of inches. If you actually have 𝘀𝗀 damage there, maybe it goes differently. A really just interesting little micro thing. It's not that it's Ego's made a mistake. He didn't, but it's just something to look at.
Sometimes this champion can be gated by his abilities. No one would think so, looking at all the ridiculous stuff we've seen from 𝘀𝗀, but he's not level 6, so he's not there to dominate the game yet. And on the other side, we have Graves able to stack his Why is he here, though?
We are back in game, and 𝘁𝗀𝗀 is on the wrong side of town. There's a frog coming up to try and get him straight from the underground. 𝘁𝗀𝗀 is low, but he's actually not dead. 𝘀𝗀 finally gets it, siphons the power, sucks it into himself. Now H3, he's the next target. Victor will pull off, and 𝘁𝗀 will claim the kill.
And we're lacking crucial information. How did this all transpire? This is such a huge swing in the game. A kill and an assist to Victor. 2 kills now for Pan. I believe one of those came into the fight. And meanwhile, 𝘀𝗀 already in top lane to cover. So everything goes Cerberus' way. They completely out-macro 𝘀𝗀𝗏, and we have no idea how this happened. Unofficial is still fighting. Should be able to walk away. Yeah, he's a very tanky boy.
Oh!
In fact.
Good buffer.
Okay.
Good buffer.
Nicely done from VCS, but suddenly the game in Cerberus' favor again. They have the heavily outscaling drafts. As 𝘀𝗀𝗏, after getting a decent, more than decent early game, the perfect early game actually, just accelerating their jungle.
Oh, Blazers in trouble. The 𝘁𝗀𝗀 is here, but can't get in range for the dive. 𝘀𝗀𝗏 will just have to be back off, but he is still scaling on this Victor. He's already got, what's that? That's at least 1.5 upgrades, I think. If I can
He
do
has
my
4
quick
assists.
maths. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
100.
that's almost
That's
2
100 on
upgrades.
its own. So
Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, it just seems like magic when Cerberus locks in the victor for 𝘂do. He's always so far ahead of the curve. I've barely seen a game where he struggles to get a 3rd evolution when the first team fight comes in, because he always participates in the plays, and usually Victor, I pointed this out in the first replay, right? He was kind of useless in the fight, but still, he walks away after the whole situation is over with 4 assists and a kill to his name. Sure, he's 13 CS down, but who cares? He's in such a good position to carry another game, and 𝘂do, maybe today is his day, maybe today is the 𝘂do show.
it certainly looks like it, as he is off to this fantastic start. On the other side, though, we have someone that definitely wants it to be his day. That person is 𝘁𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀. 𝘁𝗁𝗀 came into the league last split on 𝘀𝗀cie, but 𝘀𝗀cie was a very different team. He was splitting time with 𝘁𝗀. We thought he deserved more, and this split, he got more. He has been a fantastic jungler, but he needs to absolutely put this team on his back if they're going to get one over Cerberus here, which is pretty reminiscent of someone else on the Rift, because 𝘂𝗀 had to do that with Flash. And when 𝘂𝗀 did that, when 𝘂𝗀 put Flash on his back, what happened, 𝘂𝗀?
They won the split. They beat
were the champions.
𝘀𝗀 in back-to-back best of 5s. They even came back from an 0-2, so maybe we have something to talk about in that direction after this game. Hopefully not for 𝘁𝗁𝗀. But there's nothing to criticize him for this game so far, as he has really brought together this game plan. Oh, Artemis needs to be careful, but he's level 6. H3 is only level 4, so the engage... Yes, he does have Aftershock. He's not going for the more CC heavy build. We've seen multiple times as well with the Glacial Augment. Instead, he tries to go for stronger traits and will not die, probably. But 𝘁𝗁𝗀 now, where's the top lane moving? 𝘁𝗀 is here and Blaze is here as well.
Yeah, they're just going to try and turn it straight onto Pun. This is a great decision. The Grey Health can only buy so much time. It's not enough. He goes down. It's now a 3v2. Blazes, look how fast he is as he throws out the card. The Chaos Storm comes out on the other side. 𝘂𝗂 wants to get the party started. 𝘂𝗀 has to carry this one. He is level 6 now. Throws in the card. There it is. He'll get another soul. And here comes 𝘂𝗀. The Shadow Isles rise. The ruination comes to 𝘀𝗀cie.
And do you remember when we talked about 𝘂𝗀 and how he is gated at level 4? Well, he hit level 6 and now he's 𝘂𝗀, the champ we all know and hate. Because this is what he can do. There was a 2v3 and they just annihilated their opponents. It's decent target focus from 𝘀𝗀cie actually to get at least 1 kill back on 𝘂𝗀. And conceptually I actually have to praise 𝘀𝗀cie, or maybe blame Cerberus a bit, because this is now multiple times in the early game where they have been too over-aggressive with their mid lane position. 𝘁𝗁𝗀 doesn't have ultimate. So.
Good flash. Just get out of
Yeah,
there.
so 2 games in a row, Blazes is first on the play. He has better movement abilities compared to 𝘂𝗀's Victor, and even though 𝘂𝗀's in a good position in the game, last game was even better, they move first into the team fight. Unfortunately, there's a 𝘂𝗀 who just kills them all.
Oh, but this evidently there was a kill in the bottom lane at the same time as 𝘁𝗀 goes down. Yeah, Artemis just goes forward, flashes out. Lovely play.
So it seems like the bot lane has settled in finally as well after a rough early game in the game 1 and not the greatest impact over the course of the whole game. Really, it was not the Artemis show we expected, it was the 𝘂𝗀 show. And Pun also contributing a lot. Later on, of course, 𝘁𝗀 with great engages, but Artemis really didn't do much on the MF. Now it's his time to shine. Now he's 2-1-2, and he's winning his bot lane by 20 CS. This is what we expected in the bot lane matchup. In my opinion, the most one-sided matchup on the whole Rift. And it seems like Artemis has settled in the players. Of course, a 25-minute victory in game 1 will help calm your nerves quite a bit.
It certainly will. That definitely quiets the jitters. But 𝘂𝗀, he's going to have to work this out as well, as there is a collapse coming in. 4 members of 𝘀𝗀cie are here, but Cerberus are coming in at the same time. They defend their mid laner.
Unfortunately, 𝘂𝗀 loses one 4-stack cannon, but that's a decent price to pay for not dying and staying full HP. He's going to get gifted another blue buff, so he's in a good position to just
Artemis.
farm. Oh, Artemis.
Oh my god, you're so good, Artemis. He just dodged a headbutt with his ultimate. That was incredible! Oh my word, 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀𝗀 trying to find his way in, but does get knocked away. Ego bearing down on them. He comes out of the smoke. He is in the shadows. He is here to take them down. 𝘀𝗀 gets the death laser across the back line. The storm is zapping, but not enough, but the snipe is there to take the cow down.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to make this comparison, but there is a play in my mind that is so similar to what Artemis just did there. It's a famous play from the best ADC player of all time, on 𝘁cie, getting dived in the bot lane outer tower. It's 𝘀cie, and this looked very much like that 𝘀cie play. Artemis
Hang on.
finally is here to play.
The fight continues, though, as there's the 1-for-1. Twisted Fate trading for Leona immediately, but there's the soul being taken over. The Heartbreaker used to try and get to 𝘀𝗀. Ego will go down. The cannon ult has been used. 𝘀𝗀, you are in a 1v3. Artemis cannot help you. It's about to become a 1v4. You better have your dancing shoes on. But without a flash, without a hope, 𝘀𝗀 will fall.
Finally, they shut down this raid boss. There is Victor already at 11 minutes, so menacing, staring them down and putting in so much damage on all the team. But 𝘀𝗀 just continues to win fight after fight on a composition that's not designed to fight this much in the early game. Let's enjoy this amazing dodge again, and the play is basically over after this one.
Yeah.
Good flash from Vit to not immediately die to Punch Engage. Also, when we're back out of this replay, as we can just enjoy the nice plays from 𝘀𝗀 as they just continue to dive, very decisive, going for all the kills they can. Picture in picture.
Yeah.
Collapse on 𝘀𝗀.
Just 𝘀𝗀 being taken down. They will claim the dragon as well.
So once we have the scoreboard up again, take your eyes to the top lane matchup, because Pan is not playing top lane this game. He's reminding me a lot of Adam in his first split for Fnatic, where he just hates laning. He just is not interested in taking minions. He was 15 to 40 CS earlier this game. I'm not sure what the CS situation is right now, but he's just constantly roaming, trying to help his team, trying to make plays happen. Now finally we get to see him play a little bit of top lane.
Blazers nearly dead as the Herald is summoned up, charges into the mid lane. 𝘀𝗀 grow their lead. In fact, they've only just taken the lead. It's only 200 gold in it, Gilway.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be ahead. As I said
No.
before, this composition is supposed to be behind, so being even at this point in the game is quite decent. There is a win condition opening up for 𝘀𝗀ie though, playing through the dragons. They caught 𝘀𝗀 on rotation, they got the dragon number 2, and 𝘁𝗀 is still a very strong force in this game. He's scaling up nicely as 𝘀𝗀.
𝘀𝗀 in trouble. Yeah, no chance here for the Victor. He's just going to get taken down. He runs a little bit. Ego, I don't think you want that one, mate. And he just gets out of there.
That's another decent kill. This game, they are having some success shutting down 𝘀𝗀. He's on 4 deaths. Of course, he has 10 participations, so
Artemis.
well on his way.
Moving forward. Oh,
Yeah, whoosh.
I think that was meant to be a Tristana. Must be a visual bug or something, because it just wasn't there. Sorry, Rakan. You need to be quiet. I know you're hyped. Yeah, that was just an insane amount of damage out of the 𝘁𝗀.
And I know I already made the comparison to 𝘀𝗀ie, so scaling back a little bit, as that is still something Artemis strives for. Let's compare him to Slater, and Slater's famous champion is Punch should just be able to W out of here. Oh, maybe
Yeah,
not.
they're going to commit the cannon ult, though. That's a big stun. This frog's in trouble.
Nice
He's
to
been
them.
harvested.
And they're succeeding in multiple parts of the game where they had some troubles in the last one, so 𝘀𝗀ie reclaiming the lead. Their jungler is 7-2, 𝘁𝗀 really stepping up here, and he wants to carry his team to at least another game. He's here to show that he belongs into the top echelon of junglers. Of course, his MVP points actually tied with Ego from our broadcast, so 𝘁𝗀 definitely being one of the most dominant junglers in the league. And the whole top side for 𝘀𝗀ie has been their success story. The bot lane not so much, bot lane playing more of a weak side role, and now they're finally back to that as well. Of course, it's kind of hard to play weak side when the enemy ADC can dive you under tower, so we have to keep close eyes on Vit and how he tries to stay alive, how he can conduct himself inside this game, to not fall prey to assassination after assassination from Artemis. But if they somehow get him to a decent team fighting spot, they do have the carries on the top side to make it work in the mid game.
They do, as once again, everyone gathers up around the mid lane. Everyone knows that the way the victor goes will very much affect the course of the game. But look at this Graves. I know I'm punishing you to make you talk about it, but this is a big Graves.
Yeah, and they've played to Graves' win conditions. My biggest gripe with Graves in the jungle is that I don't really see VCS teams being able to play a kill-less jungle-focused early game, where the jungler just plays through farming and getting his 1v1 advantages by pushing off the enemy jungler. Now, he has 10 kill contributions, so he's definitely not kill-less in this game, but they've definitely invested a lot of time and resources.
They find 𝘀𝗀.
Wow.
He flashes over the wall directly into the arms of 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, but he does have his team coming in as Ego arrives. They throw out a Leona ult to defend him, call in the 𝘁𝗀. They do it all, but they do save him.
This attack on 𝘀𝗀 over and over again is causing huge troubles and issues for Cerberus. They don't know how to respond. And 𝘀𝗀xe is getting the better of them in this mid game. This is the first time in the many games that we've seen 𝘀𝗀xe be able to step up to the plate and actually fight Cerberus on even footing in the mid game. Now, once again, I'm going to make this point that the analysts already made in draft. They are supposed to win the mid game, right? So Cerberus, yeah, it doesn't look as confident right now, but they're still in a very good winning position. We can see the goals equalized again, and as long as they can maybe get 1 or 2 dragons in the next 5 to 10 minutes, the game is in their favor and they're scaling up nicely. 2-3 items should be where the victor can really take over everything in team fights. So 𝘀𝗀xe still needs to keep accelerating the game. They need to find a significant advantage on the map to actually threaten to win this game. Maybe through a Baron, maybe something of that ilk, but right now the advantage is not quite big enough.
Sure, gold-wise, it is dead even. It is really just those dragons, and with it only being a Cloud Soul, it's hardly instant game winning. 𝘀𝗀𝗀, perhaps on the wrong side of the wall, but Ego's not bold enough. They call in the teleport. Kennen will be about to arrive, and oh my word! Look at HP! He goes in, he gets it all started! A lot of damage has been dealt already. Cerberus just need to find a way to get the hell out of here! But I don't think that way exists, at least not for the 2 that have fallen.
𝘀𝗀𝗀 getting 2 more kills, he's getting to levels where they can't deal with him anymore, because even though the gold for the teams is almost even, there is such a huge gap in the jungle position. 𝘀𝗀𝗀, he's tanky, he deals an insane amount of damage, he can execute people, so this is his game to carry his team to victory. The new jungler, the new Ego, maybe, and he's showing up in game 2 of the series. This is Drake number 3, so Cerberus is not able to stop or hold the Dragon Snowball. And yeah, I agree with you, the Cloud Soul is probably not game winning, but getting Cloud Soul and then maybe snowballing it into a potential very early Elder Dragon is maybe the way to win here for 𝘀𝗀𝗀xe.
Perhaps, as we do see Artemis, this was started by Artemis. He can't participate in the rest of the fight. He's just over on the side. They don't have a Kai'Sa.
It's a very good punish from 𝘀𝗀𝗀's side, because as he pointed out, it's a catch on Blazes, but because Blazes flashes away, Artemis cannot do anything. He's short-ranged, he doesn't have his ultimate to reposition, so it's too dangerous for him to step up to these targets. Alistar can just mark him and push him either way, or just CC him again to collapse on Artemis, so it's very hard for him to continue fighting after forcing the flash, so good understanding of the team fights.
And oh my, 𝘀𝗀𝗀 caught out! Cerberus are really faltering your way.
They are, and it's all due to 𝘀𝗀𝗀's aggression. They just don't ever give them time to breathe. Just stepping up so much right now. 28
Artemis
kills
is
in
in
this
trouble.
game. And this is much more what 𝘀𝗀𝗀 wants to do. 𝘀𝗀𝗀 is the more aggressive team of these two. Last game we saw Cerberus slow down the mid game, slowly get back into the game after a bad early game, get tower after tower, go to side lanes, collect this, but can they punish 𝘀𝗀𝗀, or is 𝘀𝗀𝗀 the one that punishes them?
He is on a flank, but I don't know if they can actually collapse on him. No, they can't. He manages to get away. This Graves is just a bit too scary. I can't say I blame them.
And we have to remember, this is the first time 𝘀𝗀𝗀 has ever made the postseason. As 𝘁𝗀 esports, they've been in so many best of 5s to promote back into the league. as 𝘀𝑺rie as well at the start of this year, or even last year, end of last year, December, to qualify for this league. And now they're in a playoff situation against the number 1 seed Cerberus, challenging them in Game 2. So I think they've sufficiently shown us that they do belong at the adult table, at the family gathering of the VCS teams, because it wasn't clear. They were invited for the first time, but we had to see if their manners were good enough, if they knew all the chit-chatting and nattering skills, but it seems like they're up to the task.
Certainly does. At the moment, though, judging by how they're treating Cerberus, I don't know if their manners are good enough. I think they just took a seat and everyone's too scared to tell them to leave.
Yeah, they got big and buff, and now they just sit there at the adults table. No one wants them there, but here they are. 21 minutes in, the dragon is up in 2 minutes, and how will Cerberus play this situation out? Of course, 𝘀𝑺rie can also bait Cerberus maybe into an overcommitment on the bottom side and try to go for an early Baron. They have a very healthy Baron, with Grace being on this many items. So Grace can probably just tank and lifesteal off the Baron forever. It's not the quickest though, because especially their mid laner and top laner don't really contribute that much damage to the Baron, even though they have 2 ADCs. I don't really think they're going to burst this down in a matter of seconds, but they've started it now. Ego is aware.
Yeah, he's definitely sniffing this one out, but they don't actually have good vision at the moment. There is a control ward shutting all of that down, and they don't have a red ward of their own until either 𝘀𝑺rie or 𝘁𝑚 get over there, but the poke and the spotting will be enough to deter 𝘀𝑺rie. They don't want to throw.
It's a little bit of a weird timing to go for the Baron, in my opinion. If you waited 1 more minute, the dragon would have spawned. Maybe you send your top laner to do the dragon while also pressuring Baron, then the enemy team has to make a decision. Now this way, Cerberus just had an easy time cancelling the Baron and reconquering some of this territory, clearing out some vision here. 𝘀𝑺rie is ready to strike.
Blazers is moving forward. They also did break the Shattered Crown, but it doesn't matter when Artemis starts the fight like that, immediately blowing up the cannon. The slicing Maelstrom is removed.
We see some of the mid-game woes from this team. 𝘀𝑺rie just not reading the situation correctly. It's still 55 seconds to Dragon, so they can still go for a coated respawn teleport into fight, but it's not looking great. 𝘀𝑺rie needs to understand what they have to do to secure the big objectives, to get this Elder Dragon onto the map, to have another win condition. So right now, the vision definitely in favor of Cerberus around the Dragon Pit. So what is 𝘀𝑺rie going to do? How will they invest their resources to get close to this objective? Right now, they're just trying to reset one last time to get as many items under the belts as possible for maybe the game-deciding fight, as both teleports are available as well. But unfortunately, no big teleport wards behind the Dragon Pit or anything, as Cerberus has done a great job clearing out the vision and trying to make the situation as easily controllable as humanly possible for their side.
They haven't made an effort to actually get control of the bot side river, though, in terms of where they're standing. It is just a bit of a stare down in the mid lane at the moment. The waves will get cleared. These teams need to move over to Dragon, and now you're stepping into them. The Dragon's already started. 𝘀𝑺rie's just trying to kill it.
It's an interesting
here, though. It's a 50-50, baby, and Ego wins it! Buys his team another 5.
They try to make it about the jungle's abilities, but we...
TF ult. I don't think he
Good
wants to
disengage from Cerberus, just moving their big targets in front, so the attack would be risky for 𝘀𝑺rie. 𝘀𝑺rie does have position on the top river now, so maybe an attempt at Baron can be made again, but it's pretty obvious for Cerberus, as they have decent wards here around the Baron pit as well, so no real reason for Cerberus to go into their own jungle right now. So they're just going to be
the wrap,
defensively...
the wrap. Here it comes. They're coming straight in. Ego gets gobbled up to buy him a second, but it's not going to be enough. And this may well be the game-deciding fight, but they're in a choke against a victor. Look at the damage that 𝘀𝑺rie is able to put out. 2 kills already going over to the Viego. Ego looking great. Now 𝘀𝑺rie's got his sneakers laced up real tight, and he's bearing down on Vic. Can he actually catch up to him? I'm not sure it matters. The laser tags. The jump should come in. Ooh, there it is. Buster shot. Artemis is bearing down on him. Will try and catch him. Can they get there? Where is your jump, Vit? Doesn't matter. As there's the kill with the W. 𝘀𝑺riequeen on top of Artemis as well. I don't think this is a fight you can win. Even with your shield bow, there it is. Laser over the wall, making sure that Graves cannot carry the team fight. And Cerberus find a way back in.
In the end, it's just Cerberus' superiority in team fights. Yes, their early games have not been great today, especially in game 2. Oh, the timing from Pan, beautiful. He knows how to do this. Another kill over to them. This should really open up the game. They stalled the Baron, the Dragon Snowball, I should say, and now get the Baron. They are finally back in the gold lead, and their composition is clearly in the stronger point right now. What a collapse from 𝘀cie, but once again, we have to say, this is a little bit of maybe rookie mistake coming in from this team. They always go a little too hard. Just take one kill and turn to Baron, or take one kill and turn to the top tower or anything. You don't have to chase into them. Just get the one kill. This is very nice from on Pan. Now, run away. Don't go into the fight. Look at them. They are all funneled. They all have to funnel through the gravity field. One of the huge issues of an ADC like Tristana is she's great at assassinating targets, at going target by target by target in open fields, but not very good at choke points, because she has no way of dealing and overcoming the choke, so she is pretty useless. And we see Artemis being stronger than 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀. 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, the member with 10 kills to his name, and even he cannot fight Artemis anymore. So this game is definitely going out of control for 𝘀cie very quickly.
Oh, and look at that catch going in onto the cannon, but it doesn't work out as 𝘀𝗏 goes a little bit too far. Will be traded back onto the enemy support, and Pan moves forward excellently immediately in onto Blazers to make it a 2-for-1. They pick up the tower as well. And your way, it's Cerberus, baby.
It's Cerberus, and Cerberus, one thing they've improved more and more over the course of the split is closing out games insanely quickly. We saw it in game 1, one team fight at 22 minutes, or 23 minutes I believe, at the gates of the enemy base, and the game was basically over. This is reminiscent of the dominant 𝘀 games, dominant 𝘀 times, and they've learned from 𝘀, they've learned from 𝘁 as well. And point I want to make, this Artemis on Kai'Sa looks a little bit like 𝘀 and 𝘁, right? So
yeah,
they've definitely taken the learnings from the two more aggressive teams, especially when it comes to closing out the game in 𝘁 and 𝘀. Looking across them right now, close to a 2-0 against 𝘀cie, and telling them, well, we are waiting for whoever is going to come our way, and we know how to deal with you just as well as we know how to deal with 𝘀cie.
We go to another pause your way. Unfortunate stuff, but it gives us more time to talk. And I know you really wanted to make this point about the draft being very similar to BTS. BTS is the one team that beat Cerberus. So go ahead. You've got time now.
So, of course, there's some Cerberus things. I think top and jungle is very unlike BTS. BTS always wants to have 𝘀𝗀 be the engine of the draft with Xin Zhao and Lee Sin priority. That's very different here with more scaling and team fighting focus for 𝑉IEGO. So it's the Cerberus adaptation of the 𝘁 draft. It's still similar to what 𝘁 wants to do, especially through the bot lane with Kai'Sa and Leona constantly going for trades, being very aggressive, up in your face, and trying to play the assassination kind of style, which actually was the downfall of Cerberus when they tried this against 𝘁 in game 2. They had a huge lead, they were 4k gold ahead, it looked like Cerberus was once again going to dominate another team after falling down in game 1, but then Artemis failed to deliver in teamfights on Lucian. So we saw a glimpse of maybe a weakness for Artemis on short-ranged ADCs, or maybe not so much for Artemis, even though he played badly, more for Cerberus' team fight setup. So now Cerberus really trying to play this style as well, trying to learn short-ranged ADCs, and they do have long-range poke and DPS from Yado, so this is really the perfect draft for them to adapt their old style into the more 𝘁 new dive kind of draft they also want to be able to play. So it's a cool hybrid between the two compositions.
It certainly is, and wouldn't see it any other way. We want to see Cerberus put their own spin on things. They are the best team in the league for a reason. Part of that reason is this 7-1-7 Kai'Sa, this big man Artemis. Basically unanimous MVP, at least everyone on our side believes so. And now, 𝘀cie, the desperate base defense, they can't come to this dragon. No chance. So the game will continue.
One thing that's really astonishing about Cerberus' games, especially into 𝘀cie, is how quickly the game looks unwinnable for the enemy team. Just 5 minutes ago, the game was in an even state, maybe even in 𝘀cie's favor, and now, well, the gold isn't too far apart, but with the composition, with the way Cerberus knows how to conduct themselves in the late game, this game looks over. There's almost nothing 𝘀WWE can do. Yes, Killer Queen is on 3 items. Yes, he has an IE. So if he ever gets to free fire, maybe there's hope, but he's short range. They have such a compact team composition. Look at them always grouping together and only Ego really stepping out of line slightly, but still close enough to his team so they can help them. 𝘀, actually in this game playing 𝗀𝗀 like the old support 𝗀𝗀, almost always using his ultimate defensively, which is something we haven't seen him do in other 𝗀𝗀 games, where he's much more aggressive and tries to go for targets. This time he's just focused on helping 𝘂do survive the initial engage. As 𝘀WWE, maybe they've caught Artemis.
I think they've declared the last chance saloon as 𝘀 will gobble up Artemis, try and buy him some time. They do it successfully. The shield is huge, but it's not enough. He gets CC'd, he gets taken down. 1-for-1 at the moment on the bottom side. It is 𝘂do picking up that kill. Vit dives forward, trying desperately to take down the Victor, but it's all gold everything. As he comes out, he flashes away. 𝘂do lives, and it's a triple kill picked up for Ego. And Cerberus are just too damn good.
Viego making the Vietnamese cow series proud as the Alistar gets the triple kill, but Cerberus once again wipe a team fight. There's nothing 𝘀WWE can do. I like their effort. They came in with a different playstyle. They actually made them sweat quite a lot. It's not enough to get the Nexus, but it's another look for 𝘀WWE, and I hope they have another one installed for us, because I really liked what they tried to do here. Much more aggressive game, much more kill heavy, but Cerberus is also able to survive in this kind of style. Of course they're the best team in the VCS. How could they not be able to play a high kill game as we end 31 minutes into the game with a kill score of 43?
It's a brutal one your way, and Cerberus now up 2-0. They are 1 game away from breaking the curse, winning a best of 5. Finally, it's been so long. They just need 1 more. Will 𝘀WWE come back? Will the curse hold? Or will Cerberus finally leave the underworld that they have guarded for so long? We'll find out in Game 3. But don't go anywhere. In about 7 minutes, we'll be back with the VCS English Analyst Desk. See you then.
The night beckons while you dream. A life never lives in peace. As you stand upon the edge, woven by a single thread,
We are back on the VCS English Analyst Desk, ladies and gentlemen. 𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 was able to take the second game away from 𝘀𝗀cie 𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, and they are now leading the series 2-0. Coach Tim, I guess everything as we have expected it.
Yeah, I mean, the game was a bit messier than 𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 might have wanted it to be. It was, again, a close exchange in the early and mid-game, but then 𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 at some point just came out ahead and pushed the lead, and especially 𝘀𝗀mise and 𝘂𝗷, they were pushing the lead further and further, and I think those are the two to watch at.
Talking about players to watch at, 𝘀𝗀mise. 𝘀𝗀mise have had, let's say, a very, very good individual scene in this game. 𝘀𝗀cie, can you break it down for us?
I definitely can. And I mean, 𝘀𝗀mise, the whole split long basically has been pretty pop off. And also here we see in a replay how 𝘀𝗀cie just is on this 𝘁𝗁 pick. I mean, Killer Instinct is maybe not the ideal word to describe what this play really does for him, because the Killer Instinct on the enemy team wasn't really given there, as 𝘀𝗀mise just clutchly evades important skill shots to not get CC'd under the turret there, and also does now survive this gang. And it just gets even better, because in this extended skirmish, he just also lands another great play, which is his 𝘁𝗀cie ability. He just now uses slightly further down as the replay rolls up, and here I think we see it, and nah, it's actually just now popping off. I think I might just be a little bit too early. Here we see it, yeah, and yeah, it's just beautiful to see how hard 𝘀𝗀mise is performing on this 𝘁𝗁. The first game was a little bit rough for him, I would say. Overall, the split has been very excellent, and in game 2 he just reminded us why we consider him as the best player of this VCS winter split.
Yeah, totally smurfed in this play, and in this whole game, he went very good on this 𝘁𝗁, Coach Tim. 𝘀𝗀cie, they looked very good in this game as well since the 24th, 25th minutes, since this Nash fight. Is this that 𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 Esports, that they are actually able to take to take back the lead in the mid game, in the later stages of the game? Is this a sign that 𝘀𝗶𝗶 is the better team, maybe macro-wise?
Macro-wise, and especially in teamfight execution, I think just working together, making sure that all these skirmishes are just executed perfectly, I think that's a big advantage. I don't think that they are much better at macro. I think both teams are okay, but they're not showing massive performances when it comes to macro. I think they're both a bit late on objectives, for example. Vision setup is very contested, and I think these skirmishes specifically, execution-wise, just always go 𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀's way, it seems. While in the early stages, 𝘀𝗀cie seems to be able to take those skirmishes to make sure to win them. So I'm not really sure what is going bad for them in those later ones. So we have to see if they can fix that for game 3, and if they can ban the Victor, because Victor is broken.
Talking about fixing stuff, obviously VTB has to fix some stuff as well, because we have a longer time than we are used to. But this gives us the chance to talk a little bit more about some picks, and I want to talk about the Victor pick for 𝘂𝗷. And what did surprise me, 𝘀𝗀cie, is that 𝘀𝗀cie, they decided to not ban Victor and to not pick Victor and give 𝘂𝗷 this pick. What do you think about this decision?
I think this decision is 𝘀𝗀cie shooting themselves a little bit in the foot. I mean, the overall comp was fine, but they gave over 𝘂𝗷 Victor, and this was basically all that kind of ruined it for them. Also, on another note, they picked the Graves for the jungle. 𝘁𝗀 played fine on it, more than fine actually. He had a very good showing, but you could have just had the Graves top lane against the 𝘁𝗀, which is one of the few matchups that is good against the 𝘁𝗀, and also picked a different early aggressive jungler for 𝘁𝗀, which might have been even more deadly against this 𝘀𝗀 comp. And 𝘀𝗀, they were struggling in the early mid game, definitely so. And I think maybe with a little bit more clutch factor on that side for 𝘀𝗀cie, with a little bit more ironing out their draft, also not having to play against the Victor, it could just be 𝘀𝗀cie taking one game at least here.
Coated and 𝘁𝗀 as a top jungle duo didn't look that great as well, Coach Tim. What do you expect from them? Do they have to step up when 𝘀𝗀cie actually want to have a chance to get this game back?
I mean, 𝘁𝗀 looked great. I mean, he was dominating on the Graves. I think he got the much better. I mean, I wouldn't say the Viego looked bad per se. It's just both junglers picked up a lot of kills and did a lot in these team fights, and they were the two to watch. I think Ken had some great ultimates as well. I don't think the issue really lay there. I think the issue was on bot lane for sure, and then specifically on mid lane. We talked about it. Early game, it's looking fine. Like, 𝘀𝗀cie is holding their own. They're winning team fights. They're getting leads. And then they play against Victor. And then Victor just starts out the game. Victor gets 2 items, and suddenly they lose every team fight. How could that be? And I think just taking away the Victor, either banning it out, or, I mean, they probably don't have lose sight in the upcoming game. So we have to see how that pans out. But please don't give victory again to 𝘀𝗷. And if possible, pick it yourself, because I think it's a very solid pick that has an okay level 6 power spike. Then on his first upgrade has a decent power spike. And once 1 or 2 items have come in, he's really good at both skirmishing, side laning, and team fighting. So I think he's a very strong pick right now, and I hope they consider it to pick up, because the TF had some good early plays, but didn't have the impact that the Victor had.
I think they definitely should consider picking up the Victor themselves. I mean, it is also 𝘀𝗀𝗋. I mean, he's the OG Victor of the VCS. I mean, if he can't play Victor, then what are you even doing here? And he has shown countless times, even when Victor was a much merged champion, that he actually can pull it off. And you just need to have him playoff ready there. And also, I think this Victor pick in general, I mean, it just looked so much easier for servers to play these fights up with him. I mean, they had this one insanely extended skirmish in the Dragon River earlier on, where it was like 4 for 3 for the side of 𝘀𝗀𝗋, but it to me already felt like 4 for 3 is not enough against the Victor, because he just does so much with these takedowns, with his Glorious Evolution passive stacking up. And as soon as 𝘀𝗷 hits like the 1 item power spike, as you just now said, 𝘀cie_𝗰𝗶, I think the Victor is just too strong, and you need to either pick it yourself or have it banned when you're on red side. I mean, on red side, you probably just have to ban it.
Talking about confidence and the confidence from 𝘀𝗀𝗋 to pick Victor, I want to talk about the confidence from Cerberus Esports here as well, because 𝘀𝗋𝗋 mentioned it in the cast that Cerberus Esports, they didn't win a single best of 5 in the playoffs once, and they are now very close to do so. They are now very close to execute their very good regular season they had into the finals, into the maybe big chance for them to win a title. 𝘀cie_𝗰𝗋, do you think that if they win the best of 5 series today, that this could be maybe a massive confidence boost for this team?
I think it's always a big step to overcome, right? Getting to playoffs is one thing, winning those best of 3s is one thing, but then in the clutch moments, winning the best of 5s, especially in the single elimination format, it's doubly important that you just make sure that you're prepared. And not even like, usually you would say, okay, it's best of 1s in regular season, and you go into best of 5s, there's a huge difference. Best of 3 and best of 5s, not so much. But I think the main difference is the time and preparation you have, especially for your first best of 5, is so much different, because you just have a week more. You have more than an entire week to prepare for just one opponent, instead of having multiple in a week, where you can't specifically prepare that much. So I think working with that preparation, making sure that you're getting the win, is very important for a team to overcome. And once you have that, it's very easy to then just snowball that into the final win as well.
One thing or one player I wanted to talk about in the pre-show and after game 1 as well, but we had time issues, so we didn't had the time to do so, is 𝘀𝗀𝗋 on his engaged support champions. I guess, we talked about that he is maybe one of the big pillars, of the big points why 𝘀𝗀𝗋 can show up the way he is doing in this best of 5 series, and the way he did throughout the whole regular season. 𝘀𝗀𝗋, what do you think? How does 𝘀𝗀𝗋 Esports have to play against this very good engagers from 𝘀𝗀𝗋? Because he's very good in deciding which fights to take or which fights not.
I think it's a little bit tough to call who's like really the hard carry of the bot lane here. I mean, you have 𝘀𝗀𝗋, of course, also doing like the individual outplays on his own, so he sometimes doesn't even need 𝘀𝗀𝗋 that much, but 𝘀𝗀𝗋, of course, in his own right has shown countless times how good he can be. I mean, even like in the first game where he had a very rough start on the well, he still found the right engage later on it, and just now in this one game where he had like this insane fresh prediction hook, we saw that he maybe made the play of the split so far. And the problem though is on the side of 𝘀𝗀𝗋 that you cannot really ban out the support that much. It's not that easy to do and justify the bans in this regard department, because as we talked over earlier, you likely need one jungle ban, you likely need to ban the Victor out already, so you are kind of limited in that regard, and maybe even ban out the Caitlyn, which would be a pick for 𝘀𝗀𝗋. So you kind of have to live with the fact that you can only maybe ban the Thresh against 𝘀𝗀𝗋, and other than that, you just need to maybe need to match him on the side of H3, and so far he just hasn't really found a way in here.
Do you think, 𝘀cie_𝗰𝗋, that picking a disengage, maybe side lane disengage comp against 𝘀𝗀𝗋 is very good to deny him disengages, to deny him the biggest strength, and maybe to take away a game from Cerberus?
I'm not too sure, because side lane disengage comps, I think, are very hard to execute. One, when you're putting yourself in a pickle where you have to contest an objective, for example, Soul, you always have to be first on objective, and you have to be you have to have a perfect setup and make sure that the enemy team has to run into you. So your split pusher can actually go for a flank TP, something like that. I think that is always an issue of coordination and setup. And overall, split push comps are much harder to play than some simple engage comps. And I feel like Pun has twice in a row now played a very decent time. 𝘁𝗋 has just done his job in top lane, has been the tank for the team. And on the other hand, I don't feel 𝘁𝗀 had actually done enough. He has one lane and he has dominated, but to carry the team, I think he has to go a step further. And that might just not be getting a carry champion down, but making sure that in team fights, he can be as impactful as Pun is.
And what is this is a very interesting point, because you mentioned it earlier. Okay, the top side from 𝘀𝗀cie, especially in game 2, they performed really well. So 𝘀𝗀cie, do you think it's fair to say that maybe the bot side of 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀 is the harder carry compared to the top side of 𝘀𝗀cie?
I mean, so far the result and what we're seeing in the series tells a very obvious language, right? I mean, Cerberus is leading to 0. 𝘀𝗀cie definitely has to go like for a Hell maybe right now, or even we think the whole draft approach, because they had like decent early games and still couldn't really net any win here. And also 𝘂𝚗𝑒𝚗, even after having a rough start to the series, has definitely shown up. And so far, I mean, he just has shown why he's the best player of the winter split so far. And the top side from 𝘀𝗀cie, not really looking too hot here. I mean, we just now praised 𝘁𝗋 a whole bunch, and 𝘁𝗀, he has won lanes, but has he really translated it to anything? I mean, we have seen the Canon game against 𝘁𝗋 where he had like a 20-30 CS lead, and then I also remember him getting caught out pretty easily when his flash was down and dying in one team, but without even getting the slicing maelstrom off. And if you have something like this going out in a top lane, you are in for a rough surprise. So I think 𝘁𝗀, he needs to step up a little bit more, maybe go for an even harder counter pick next time, and maybe completely blow open the top side, which so far hasn't happened yet.
𝘀𝗀cie is 0-2 down. They don't have to lose. They don't have to lose anything. So, Coach Tim, do you think maybe this is an angle for them to go for a cheese pick to surprise 𝘀𝗻𝑒sports a little bit to come back into the series?
I mean, if they have something prepared, then now is the time. Like, whenever are you gonna do it? Your back's against the wall, and if you want to move on to the finals, it's now or never. And you have shown twice that you try to play meta with the 𝘁𝗀cie comp, now with an early game roaming comp with the TF, and both haven't really worked. And 𝘂𝗀 on the Victor has twice dominated. So please take out the Victor and then give me something, give a sign of life, especially in draft.
One thing I'm very curious about is when looking onto 𝘂𝗋𝗻's most played champions, I can determine 𝘁𝗀 is one of his most played AD carries, a very well-known weak side AD carry. So yeah, maybe because 𝘀𝗀𝗻 likes to roam a lot and they just leave 𝘁𝗀 alone, and 𝘁𝗀 can scale on her own. 𝘀𝗀cie, do you think maybe for game 3, Cerberus can surprise 𝘀𝗀cie by picking 𝘁𝗀, taking a roaming support for Ron OP and play for the top side maybe? Or the mid lane?
I think they could do it, but I don't want to see a 𝘁𝗀 on the weak side, actually. I think this pick is pretty punishable in that regard, at least, because she doesn't really have the peel on her own, and you can actually dive the 𝘁𝗀 over and over again if you play it smart on the side of 𝘀𝗀cie. Maybe with Vid in the bot lane it will be a bit harder, because he's just getting outclassed by 𝘂𝗋𝗻 in the series so far. And just gotta say that the 𝘁𝗀 pick has been kind of ignored so far this series, and I really wonder why. Maybe it's because of the micro patch and like some picks finding more priority, or maybe it is because the 𝘁𝗻𝗄 Cup has just evolved the meta so much that people were like convinced that 𝘁𝗀 just really isn't it anymore, and Caitlyn is like the solo best AD carry on this patch. But yeah, 𝘁𝗀 is maybe an option you could throw around now. I would much prefer, though, if you pick 𝘁𝗀, also pick 𝘁𝗀, because she really needs that safety net there. And as I just said, we are going into the pick and ban phase, and the 𝘁𝗀 is the first ban taken away. So 𝘁𝗀 not very likely to be seen here.
Yep, and it is a blue side for 𝘀𝗀cie, so they have the first pick if they want to pick up the Victor. And please, 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 either ban that champion or first pick it. And on the other hand, it is mostly targeted bans. We have the Thresh ban against Ron OP, Talon ban versus 𝘁𝗀, and then the Renekton ban against Pun, who performed very well in the 1v1 against 𝘁𝗀. The one series, the last series they played, the one game where Pun was dominating 𝘁𝗀, it was on the Renekton, so that's getting taken out. Same is for Blaze's Syndra, just not giving him that early game power.
Definitely, and I think that is really like the most important part, but that 𝘀𝗀cie is actually on the blue side, that they could potentially first pick the Victor. Now I really wonder what 𝘀𝗏𝗺's idea is around it. Last time they chose not to ban the Victor and just waited out basically, and they got the lucky draw in getting the Victor against 𝘁𝗏𝗺 there. And yeah, of course, 𝘁𝗏𝗁 getting his talent taken down is something we are not really surprised about. And well, from 𝘁𝗏𝗺 is a new ban, I would say. So maybe this is like the angle they are going for here in not really giving him his two strongest support picks, I dare say. And yeah, that's what I wanted to see. The Victor first pick coming out for 𝘀𝗀𝗆. So at least they are challenging 𝘀𝗏𝗺 on that one department. This is really important for them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I would have actually liked to see them leaving Caitlyn open, maybe. I mean, just basically telling 𝘀𝗀𝗆, hey guys, you can get Caitlyn or you can get the Victor. And whatever we get, we win anyways. But Caitlyn is banned. Dixon 𝘂, though, is traded for the Victor pick. And in game 1, 𝘂𝐺 was performing very well in the champion. TF is now locked in instead. So it seems like 𝘂𝐺 is just showing Blazes how to play that matchup.
I think this is like the most baller call you could do on the side of 𝘀𝗏𝗺. I mean, you just know left Victor TF open. You want Victor against the TF pick into it. Now he picks Victor, you pick TF. So you just want to show him both sides of the coin there. You're like, I'm just better than you. Get out of my league. Get out of my playoff contention. And yeah, 𝘂𝐺 may be in to like really prove himself, as he is known as a playoff joker. But right now, yeah, maybe he can redeem himself pretty well, as he did in the first 2 games. It's on the TF now. TF 𝘁𝗏𝗆 I really like, actually. I mean, it is very good dive potential coming out for them. Also, 𝘁𝗏𝗆 for 𝘂𝐺 generally a pick I like, because it is strong in the early game. You can... Whoa.
That is last game's team comp.
Yeah,
I mean... Yeah. VTV, hello, and welcome to the broadcast. No, the 𝘁𝗁 has been locked in for top lane for Coated, and that is definitely a champion you can easily carry on. It is like a middle path, I would say, between Kennen and a split pusher. She can split push very well, but she can do the same job as a Kennen in a flank position, just take down the backline. And on the other hand, 𝘁𝗏𝗆 now locked in for Artemis. He performed so well in that champion last game.
He definitely did. I mean, we saw the replay earlier on where he had like this killer instinct dodge and also like the snipe onto H3, which maybe to some extent is also H3's fault. Let's be honest, you can maybe sidestep 𝘁𝗀𝒀𝗃 coming out from what, 2000 range, but it also travels pretty fast, so maybe it's not even that easy. On another note, I wanted to go in more onto 𝘂𝐺 on 𝘁𝗏𝗆. I really like it because he tends to do wacky stuff early game. With 𝘁𝗏𝗆, he can actually do that and get away with it, and also no matter what happens to 𝘁𝗏𝗆, he always at least fulfills one job in the team fight later on, where he can block like projectiles from any AD carry coming out from the other side. And Killer Queen on Lee Sin is a pick I also like. I mean, he has been showing up decently well for 𝘀𝗀𝗆 so far, maybe the best player of the whole split and also this series. And him having some early evasion is definitely not wrong. Also, Coated on the 𝘁𝗁 is something I do not dislike. I mean, he has been like the more lane-focused player of the both top laners here. But gotta say, on this patch, 𝘁𝗁, she gets worse every patch, kind of, because she always gets like some kind of nerfs here. Maybe depending on whether you go Lethal Tempo or Conqueror here, it will be more interesting. But with Jax banned out, I actually think the 𝘁𝗁 could be fine.
Yep, but at least I think it denies the 𝘁𝗁𝗆 pick. 𝘁𝗁𝗆 into 𝘁𝗁, really not the matchup you want to see. That's also one of those matchups where, yes, you can maybe threaten the 𝘁𝗁 around level 3, around level 4, but after that it's getting really rough. And we talked about, in one draft early, we talked about the 𝘁𝗏𝗆 Tristana matchup being an old matchup. If you would see the Samira, that would be also one of those, but we're having now the 𝘁𝗁 that also was talked about. It is a good late game carry, and if they should decide to go with Jhin and the 𝘁𝗁, they definitely have a good late game duo, and it seems like they are going for it together with the 𝘁𝗁 for the peel against Leona.
I actually like this idea on the side of 𝘀𝗀𝗆. I mean, it's a 𝘁𝗁 without the Thresh, but at least it has the 𝘁𝗁. It is like at least some protection for her, where she can like get some resistances off of the 𝘁𝗁 pick here. And okay, 1 OP. Is that 𝘁𝗆𝗆 just now locked in, or are they still hovering picks? I'm not quite sure, because I mean, you cannot really pick any super weak side pick into the 𝘁𝗁, and maybe 𝘁𝗆𝗆 would be the answer against the 𝘁𝗁 for Blazes, but no, it's apparently not though, and it will be the Kennen. So this time Pan actually has to win the lane, and also 𝘂𝐺 not on Victor. And Bit is on the 𝘁𝗁, which is like, aside from Caitlyn, maybe the strongest pick on the patch. So yet again, there are definitely some shining lights on this 𝘀𝗀𝗆 draft.
But Cerberus Esport, they turned around some picks. They picked the Cannon and they picked the Twisted Fate picks. 𝘀WWE Esport have been taken out in the last game. So, Coach Tim, with both drafts, do you think that 𝘀WWE can go for the reverse sweep, or do you think that Cerberus Esport will take it away and take the series 3-0?
I mean, I think 𝘀WWE for the first time now has a clearly outskating comp, but that is the issue. I think their team comp skates very well, but it only scales. You basically don't have an early game outside of maybe like the 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 duo being very strong in early skirmishes. Especially pre-6, you can maybe do some stuff there. But I think once level 6 comes in, once the TF gets through, once your 𝘁𝗀 gets enabled with her ultimate, it's going to be really rough to play the map, and I think that is going to break 𝘀WE's back. I think they've shown good early games. If they can keep it up with this comp, they're at least not getting outscared, but I just think that Cerberus, maybe not in the first three levels, but after level 6 is just going to roll the game and snowball it until its conclusion and get a 3-0.
𝘀cie, do you agree on that, or do you believe in the reverse sweep?
I do not believe in the reverse, but I think 𝘀WWE can take this game. So it's a little bit on the timer here. It just depends on how cleanly they play out the early game. And if they actually manage to punish the Victor pick here and the generally very well scaling comp on the side of 𝘀WWE with the Jinx and with the Gwen especially. And yeah, I will stay loyal to Victor. I think that 𝘀WWE will take this game.
And with this analysis of my beautiful analysts, once again, and maybe the last time for today, I will give over to our casters, 𝘀RX and 𝘀𝗋𝗋. It's game 3. It's time for maybe the decision who will be the first finalist of the VCS Winter Split 2021. And do you guys believe in the reverse sweep?
Oh, 𝘀🐈, I have to believe in the reverse sweep. I have to, because I want more games. As you know, Cerberus, they're a beautiful team. They play a beautiful game, but I want all 5. I don't care who wins as long as we go the distance. And as a play-by-play caster, I don't have to use logic in my analysis. That's your job, 𝘀𝗋𝗋.
And getting the foot into the door, or in the door, is most of the time the most important step towards a potential reverse sweep. So this game, this one game, if you can win once, you feel the other wins as well, right? Maybe it's not going to happen, but at least win one game, not only just to keep the series alive and your playoff hopes alive, but also to show everyone that 𝘀WWE is a serious contender, not just here as a one-off for players. They want to establish themselves, their organization, and the names of the players, especially for someone like Killer Queen and H3, newer players, as a play of caliber team and players. So very important game for 𝘀WWE and the history of 𝘀WWE. Cerberus, of course, on the other side, just want to get it over with, back to aggression the early game, back to a very 𝘀𝗀-like composition, I once again am going to say, especially looking at Ego, 𝘁𝗀𝗏, and 𝘀𝗋𝗏, so the quintessential bot lane aggressive skirmish duo plus early game jungler. So this is very much 𝘀𝗀, 𝘁𝗀mine, and 𝘁𝗀-like. So let's see if they also like to go for bot lane dives, like 𝘀𝗀 always does.
So, 𝘀𝗋𝗋, while we are talking about compositions, we do see it on screen as the laser lands. Why did it take 3 games for Blazers to get onto this Victor?
Yeah, a lot of viewers are going to ask this question. It looked a little bit foolish, giving up the Victor again in the second game, but honestly, the early game worked out for them, and my read on this Victor pick for 𝘀WWE is not that Blazers is a bad Victor player. In fact, he's actually a very good Victor player, but 𝘀WWE as a team does not really excel when Blazers can't open up the mid-jungle fight, the 2v2 in the mid-jungle, give Killer Queen enough assistance and early invades and so on. So every time Blazers is on a late-game scaling champion and just has to wait the first few minutes, the team seems to be a little bit lost in the early game, and they aren't the greatest mid and late game team, so they kind of need to get going in the early stages. So that's why I think 𝘀WWE did not want to pick the Victor, even though they have a decent Victor player, just because their team doesn't work too well with this champion later on, and with Blazers not giving his jungler the opportunity to permanently invade. We do see that Blazers is once again dominating 𝘂𝗷 on TF, and we've seen this before with Blazers on Syndra, not on Victor. But in one of the matches against Cerberus, he played Syndra, he got a solo kill on 𝘂𝗷, set up another kill for Killer Queen, and 𝘂𝗷 was really struggling, as he is right now, on the TF to hold up to Blazers. So maybe, even if his team can't win today, I mean, even that ship hasn't sailed. But maybe 𝘀𝘀ce can establish himself as the best mage player in the VCS in the 1v1 between 𝘂do and 𝘀𝘀ce today.
We'll have to find out, as in the end, once the waves crashed, it actually all evened back out. So 𝘂do not too stressed at the moment. Though, if 𝘀𝘀ce can keep him shoved in, maybe he can get some roams going, as up into the top side, 𝘂ted is in trouble. Pun flashing, get the stun, Wind becomes lightning, 𝘀 becomes dead.
Beautifully done. Pun, of course, knowing that 𝘂ted went for a different summoner spell. No flash, no ignite. This time it's Ghost. And Ghost is nice to move quickly around edges of fights and get close to your targets. But it's not very good at dodging skill shots, as Pun makes sure to get the stun in, and Ego instantly follows up with the Wind become dead 𝘀. As we see Ego really...
Wind become corpse.
Wind become corpse indeed. Almost missed. Was anticipating 𝘂ted to move down, so next time 𝘂ted might want to go upwards a little bit. Could have dodged the W. I think he would have died anyway, though, without a flash and any tool to get back to the tower. So a decent early gank, and this time Cerberus striking first in the top lane, something we haven't seen at all, with Pun being parked in the weak side with the Tahm Kench the last 2 games. So very different early game and very different look for Cerberus as a team.
And Cerberus perhaps wanting to I don't think they want to reveal all the strings to their bow, but I think they want to say, 𝘁𝗏, VCS, you think we're a 1-note team? This is proving we're at least 2 notes. And they're only a couple away from a song, if that's the case, as another big wave in the mid lane, this time crashing towards 𝘀𝘀ce.
𝘂do has stabilized his positioning and actually gets priority now for Ego to start the dragon immediately. Bot lane is on a good wave state as well, so they are going to get the first dragon for free. It's not even traded for any positioning on the Rift Herald, as that is going to spawn in 2 minutes time. So just a free early game, and every time we've seen slow early games in this matchup, it's Cerberus coming out ahead. But the roles are a little bit reversed, as our beautiful analyst pointed out in the draft. There certainly is a scaling advantage for 𝘀𝑠hi𝗏. So looking at the teams historically, we say, okay, 𝘀𝑠hi𝗏 needs a huge lead to win against Cerberus because they just can't compete in team fights. But this is a different composition.
𝘂𝑎rtemis caught out. The shield is doing everything. Has to flash, as you said, but they're not letting him go. As H3 moves on forward, it's a zap onto Ron, but they do manage to get away. So in the end, H3 just a little bit overzealous.
A little ambitious there from H3. He really wanted to secure the kill for his ADC.
He's using 𝘁𝗏𝗺. It's his time of year. Fair enough.
It's true. But now that flash might come back to bite them at the Rift Herald fight, especially if 𝘂artemis is able to go to level 6, because of course he gets another spell to reposition himself with a level 6. He's only level 4 though, and we're already at 7 minutes, so very unlikely to happen. So, as it looks right now, Cerberus and 𝘀𝑠hi𝗏 just waiting for the other team to make the first move happen. There have been a lot of weird situations between these 2 teams when they played each other in the regular season around the Rift Herald. Cerberus definitely with more creative paths towards the Rift Herald, also going for the Rift Herald bargain, where 𝘁𝗏, of course. So, keeping your ADC down in the bot lane.
Red card. Disaster.
Actually, really not working out for 𝘀𝘀𝑐e there, because even though 𝘂do threw the wrong card, 𝘀𝘀𝑐e already flashed at the side of the card, so he could have gotten away without a flash with the red card, of course. So
that's true.
In the end, 𝘂do getting away with murder there, actually red carding 𝘀𝘀𝑐e and instilling so much fear into 𝘀𝘀𝑐e that he gets the flash for free anyway.
Can't blame 𝘀𝘀𝑐e. It is
you don't expect 𝘂do to miss it.
Exactly. Flashing was correct, but in the end, it all looks a little bit silly. Cerberus have got the early roam onto the Rift Herald. It is going to be the 𝘁𝗏𝗏 bargain. 𝘀𝑠hi𝗏 are not interested in contesting this one. They're just going to give it up, try and get some plates onto the Jinx. Does Jinx take power plates fast enough, though?
She does usually do a decent job at taking tower plates. It was a full, it's on 3 platings now. I'm a little bit confused that 𝘂𝑑o didn't use his ultimate to go into the bot lane and defend, because he had an opportunity to just completely shut down the play from 𝘀𝑠hi𝗏. But this is also familiar, as Cerberus has done this multiple times, swapping their ADC and support into the top lane after Rift Herald to immediately pay out the Rift Herald gold. This time not quite as quick, on the rotation, so 𝘀𝗀cie not caught off guard, as we have a dive setup on the other side. It's risky though, it's cannon. You don't want this.
You don't, but look at this 𝘀𝗰𝗋. I mean, it's crazy to think that it's not 𝘁𝗀 playing it right now, because it looks like it. He's 30 CS ahead. He's picked up 4 tower... I think it was 3, nearly 4 tower plates. This is a big 𝘀𝗰𝗋.
Yeah, all the gold funneled into 𝘁. 𝘁, really not the player we expect to be the main carry for 𝘀𝗀cie, but it's a different look. They are trying to do the Cerberus way against Cerberus, having their 2 carries as hyper carries in late game team fights, so it's more than decent as a start. And how did 𝘁𝗀 fall this far behind? I think it has to do with, I mean, the matchup not being great for him in the first place, especially the support matchup in this particular lane, but also him having to move into the jungle to defend against some of the invades and getting chased away from his tower, then swapping into topside against his own wave, kind of. So he lost a lot of CS for free to the enemy team. But yeah, 𝘀𝗀cie doing an amazing job on the 2 carries. Look at mid lane, look at bot lane, 100 CS on both positions. 𝘬𝗏 is finally here.
Forward. It's the yellow card properly this time. They want to give the kill to 𝘁𝗀. They do it successfully. The victor goes down.
Nice punish on the flash timing there, and CES moving down back to the bottom side. But 𝘁 has so much time now, alone with the tower. He needs to be careful. Good marking from H3. Really good positioning here. Just spotting. Yeah, and this is going to be first tower. 5 platings for 𝘁. He is now the star of the show. No one expected him to be. No one even expected him to go to playoffs at the start of this year. 𝘁 was always in the lower tier of ADCs. But today is maybe the day where he can step up and show everyone, I can actually compete with Cerberus and 𝘁𝗀 of all people. If he's able to carry his team to victory now on an absurdly accelerated 𝘀𝗰𝗋.
And 𝘂𝗋, you told me that the roles were reversed. It was Cerberus that had to get ahead early, or 𝘀𝗀cie were going to outscale them. Well, I'm looking at 1,000 gold lead for 𝘀𝗀cie. Do we pack it up and call it game 4?
You wish. I need to see 𝘀𝗀cie actually executing mid into late game team fights. This is still the VCS, so even though the scaling looks in their favor, we've seen so many teams fail to outscale compositions like Cerberus's just by the enemy team playing just a better game, knowing what their champions are going to do, playing a little bit more decisively, because this is very much a dive composition. So we've seen 𝘀𝗏 be very successful with these mid-game focused compositions and just going on top of the enemy targets, actually against Cerberus of all teams, successfully. So if Cerberus wants to be as good as 𝘀𝗏 at these kind of compositions, they should be able to overcome the scaling disadvantage and find ways into the team fights to assassinate Blazes and 𝘁. But it's gonna be a tall order in this game, that's for sure.
It sure is, as they need to figure out a way, as you said, to shut 𝘁 down. It's not an easy task, but it is 1 Drake for Cerberus. They should have priority for the second one as well. As there it is being taken. The Hextech Drake. We will be going to a classic Drake for the dominant one. It is going to be, I think that was Ocean, as it was fading. I didn't quite see. No, it was Infernal, the exact opposite. As this Rift Herald gearing up to charge, moves on in, plates donated, but that gold went on 𝘁𝗏.
I think they split most of the gold there, but in the end, Cerberus is looking a little bit twitchy, maybe, because they seem to be skipping some steps here and there. Ego not really pushing up the mid lane sufficiently to drop the Rift Herald immediately, just dropped it in front of the dragon, which is a little bit weird. It works out in the end in their favor, but they're not able to play as planned out as they usually do, especially in the mid game, really allocating their gold where they want it to be. It's a little bit more random right now for Cerberus, as they're really just trying to get a foot back into this game. And yeah, they've equalized the gold for the most part, so they are doing fine. And there's this break point in these kinds of compositions where you...
Moving up to the top side, Slicing Maelstrom is used. 𝘀𝗀 getting close, but the needlework is doing a lot. Coded under the tower, gets away.
Gwen is immune to the wind becomes lightning because it's a long-range skill shot. And now it's 𝘀cie_𝗰𝗀. Can he retaliate?
Flashes forward, wants the 1v2, tags up with the Q, moves on in. There's a Jinx rocket coming from downtown, but it doesn't matter because 𝘀cie_𝗰𝗀 is killed.
It's close to being really amazing for 𝘀cie_𝗰𝗶, but in the end they actually fall down. It's a 3-0 kill lead for Cerberus, weirdly enough, with how the game has gone. And 2 of those kills in the hands of Ego. This is just Gwen being Gwen. Yeah, Ego, that W from Ego was
Someone needs to teach me how to say Gwen is immune in Vietnamese. Because that's what it says on screen. Someone's going to have to teach me. I'm terrible at languages. 𝘀cie_𝗰𝗀 has a go here. This is so close. You can't really blame him for this one. Like,
yeah,
it's like 100 health between
it's
the two of
𝘁𝗀𝗆
them.
magic. It's 𝘁𝗁 magic. He got another passive proc. He healed for like 60 or 70 there with his mythic or the Iron Spike Whip, in fact, I think, still in the play. But yeah, he got another passive proc. He healed for a significant enough health total to stay alive. So, all overzealous in hindsight, but I think the play was correct. Probably for 𝘀cie_𝗰𝗀. He actually forced both of the flashes. Vid's rocket was super close as well. Actually, maybe even wasn't after the reset. So maybe Vid had the damage in base to kill them, but hadn't reset. I didn't actually track that. So speaking of Vid, and also speaking of Blazes, both of their carries are still getting stronger and stronger. 1 item secured now, working on the second. First positioning on Rifthold, but this is a dangerous timing to fight. The enemy team is mid-game focused.
Yeah, but they are going to secure it. They throw in all those ults. 𝘀cie_𝗰𝗶𝗆 doing a great job separating the fight. Gwen is immune. Into the backside does go that 𝘁𝗏𝗏 has arrived. That slicing Maelstrom is doing just that, slicing them all down. Moving to the backside is Artemis using the E to make some distance. Can he get another kill? He can't. Taken down. It's just a 1 for 2, but it's in the favor of 𝘀𝗀𝗏.
Yeah, actually more than what they have, what they would expect in this kind of fight. It's so risky to fight against this strong 1-item composition, but they do a great job of zoning away the targets. Look at Artemis, that hasn't fired a single auto attack, has to wait for Pun to make the start the action basically in the fight, and then fully commits on assassinating Vid, which is probably what he's going to do for the rest of the game. So the hard carry Artemis that is going to go from target to target, getting triple kills, quadra kills in teamfight, is not really the reality in this game. He probably has to invest absolutely everything to just single out Vid. And then there's still a Victor you have to deal with. There's still a Braum peeling for the 2 carries. And even Coated can carry in the late game. So this is looking more and more like a game 4, as 𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗀 is still powering up. And they're still ahead in gold as well.
They are your way, but I can't count Cerberus out. I just can't do it. Something in my mind blocks it. As we've got 30 seconds to an Infernal Drake, and if they could get Infernal Soul, suddenly things are looking very, very spicy here on Summoner's Rift.
It's a very opportune soul, very fortuitous there for Cerberus to get the damage soul, because they need more damage to confirm the first kills of the game, of the fights. Pun does have ultimate, does have flash as well. Once again on a flank. This is risky, engaging here.
Yeah, they're coming in. Ron P immediately blown up. They're going low. They're going onto Ego. He gets a big heal with the Gore Drinker, but not big enough your way. And that's Dragon for 𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗀.
And Pun too far away. Pun didn't get there in time. I'm not sure what he was waiting for. Just too far away. Got stuck on the other side of the wall. And now suddenly this situation looks amazing for 𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗀. If the roles were reversed, I would call the game over for Cerberus, because in this kind of situation, just like in game 1, they make a very easy job out of the rest of the game. But it's 𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗀, so we still have to wait for them to actually take down the Nexus Towers. This is just decisive, clean and good gameplay into the choke point with the Braum, which is always what you like to do. I was scared for them, maybe too much, because of the cannon flank. In the end, he wasn't even there. And now Cerberus is... it seems like Cerberus actually wants to play more side lane focused, with Yado not really contributing anything in team fights, so he's now looking at the side lanes and trying to out-macro this relatively new team with new voices that hasn't shown us too much macro understanding, especially coming into the mid game. So maybe that's the way for Cerberus to prolong the game, to give their carries time to also get their items. Yes, they naturally don't outscale, but if you're on even item points, maybe you can overcome the scaling disadvantage just with the execution.
It's definitely possible, but I mean, it's a scaling Victor, it's a Jinx. I mean, at some point, you could give this composition to a pack of silvers and they can win. That's how hard they scale. As 𝘀cie has to find a way out, slowed up with the zap, but they don't actually want to follow into him. Xin Zhao still very scary at this point. It's just a bit of a ARAM, just clearing these waves back and forth. Something that you have to think that just favors 𝘀𝑠ury.
Last game, we didn't actually get to talk about it too much. I wanted to bring it up, but then, of course, more fights happened. So now in this lull, I want to go back to my 𝘁𝑎𝑒 point, because, of course, last game he had the 𝘀𝑠ie play, but he's also the disciple, the acolyte of famous VCS Kai'Sa player 𝘁𝗀. He played on the same team as 𝘁𝗀. He never got the chance to actually be the starting AD carry. I think he got a few games here and there, but 𝘁𝗀, of course, the master ADC, the best ADC of the league. Now, this is clearly 𝘁𝑎𝑒, so the best ADC. He has taken the title from 𝘁𝗀. 𝘁𝗀 isn't even competing right now with him, but it is time for him to show us that he's not only the best ADC on all the hyper carries, the current meta, the Caitlyn's, the Jinxes, the Twitches, but also the traditional VCS ADC #1, the Kai'Sa. Has he learned enough from his master?
Was it the right pick is another question. I know that some people on our team are not particularly happy with it. Shout out to 𝘁𝑚𝗶. As still just farming up 𝘁𝑚𝑎𝑠. Look, the thing is that 𝘁𝑚𝑎𝑠, if he just trades 1-for-1 with Vit every single fight, that's a win. It kind of just has to be.
The question is, where is the damage coming from to kill Blazes as well? Because if 𝘁𝑚𝑎𝑠 plays 𝘂𝑠uicide and just goes into the backline to 1-for-1 every single fight, it's probably good for the ADC matchup, but is it good for the team matchup as well? As 𝘂𝑖ado.
This isn't the catch you think it is. It's another red card. They don't even stun the Lee Sin. 𝘀𝑠ie tanks up the rocket with the Crescent Guard, but now he has to flash. He's tagged. They don't want to go under the second tower, though, so they managed to get away. But Cerberus can't make anything stick.
𝘀𝑥, are they scared of winning the series? Is it time for Cerberus to choke? They looked so dominant in the last 2 games, but we know them to never have won the best of 5.
Don't invoke it your way. Don't invoke it. Don't do it to him. As 𝘀𝑠ie and 𝑟onoP have been caught out, they have to flash away. The gravity field doing as much as it can. And look at the damage of that Chaos Storm. This Victor is terrifying.
Actually, going back to the very first point we made in this game about Victor and why 𝘀𝑠ury was so hesitant to pick up the Victor, it's not true at all. They've completely silenced me and my analysis of their prior games, because they just got to scale for free. Cerberus wasn't aggressive enough to really punish the Victor, even though they actually got him early on in the game. They punished his flashless laning phase, but only once. He only died once. Now he's on full evolution. He's on 2 items already. Going with a little bit more defensive build, a lot of movement speed under his belt, so he's going to be able to sidestep almost everything. And this Victor, we have already seen 2 games of Victor carrying games, so now it's Blaze's time, and it keeps being the important pick in the drafting phase. So let's see when the first team is going to decide to ban the Victor, because it seems like he's unbeatable today on the Rift.
Certainly does. And 𝘀𝑚𝗋, can we talk about the pace of this game? We have 8 kills in 22 minutes. This is not the VCS. This is not the league I love. This is some league with control, and perhaps they heard me and they will start a fight, finally! As in they go, 𝘀𝗿 will be the first one to fall, Vit will get excited, 𝘀𝑚𝗋 has nowhere to go, in comes Kennen, but he gets the boot! Off you go, son, see yourself out! 3 clean kills for 𝘀𝑠ury. I think we can call this. I don't think Cerberus can do anything. 𝘁𝑚𝑎𝑠 is going to try and prove me wrong immediately, but they can't even kill Blazes. He has to flash away. The scaling is here!
And Cerberus just trying too hard to emulate 𝘁 and especially 𝘁 here. They wanted to show 𝘁 and 𝘁, whoever is going to win tomorrow, that they can actually play their style as well, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Cerberus just lost on this map, honestly, and yeah, they've done a decent job scaling up with the dragons, but it's just not enough aggression from this kind of composition. They have a Jinx and the Victor on the other side. You need to punish them harder. You can't just let the Jinx have the full first tower, as there isn't really much to analyze in this teamfight, honestly. It's just Complete blowout. Amazing marking from 𝘁𝗁 there to kick him away from the targets. He doesn't even get on top of Vit a single second of the fight. So 𝘁𝗀 on the cannon, ineffective as well. He had a decent laning phase this time around, but he's just not doing stuff in team fights. And 𝘁𝗏𝗏 doesn't get to auto attack. This is my biggest gripe with this player. I'm absolutely on board with calling him the best VCS player, but he needs to actually show us some of his stuff on short-ranged ADCs. Or Cerberus just has to commit to the long-range ADCs, because in the last game against BTS, or 𝘀𝗏𝗏 I should say, he tried the Lucian, he failed horribly. Now on 𝘁𝗏𝗏, yes, he had a very good game in the last one, but this one, ineffective.
For sure. And I mean, I hate to say it, but 𝘀𝗏𝗏s was open. You could have just picked
I
𝘀𝗏𝗏s.
know, they banned it away, I believe, in the second phase.
Yeah, but they picked it in the first phase, right?
True.
Of course. Or got the jinx yourself. Like, I feel like there was options for them, but they went for this 𝘁𝗏𝗏. And now 𝘀𝗀𝗏 will continue their push down mid. They have the Baron buff. This is unstoppable here for Cerberus. And at this point, this is 𝘀𝗀𝗏's game to lose.
Yeah, I think
TF ult
this game
used.
looks very easy now to win for them.
There's a cannon flank. There's a big cannon flank. 𝘁𝗏𝗏 is there, but he's just getting zoned out. 𝘁𝗏𝗏s is just going to dump all of his damage into the cannon. Let his team do the job on the other side. Mwah! Chef's kiss. Perfect stuff. Vit gets the kill onto Ego. They crush into the base. Look at cannon. Cool. You cut the wave. That's it.
No one would believe you if you took away the nameplates that 𝘀𝗏𝗏 was on the blue side and Cerberus on the red side. So this is such a quintessential Cerberus game from 𝘀𝗏𝗏, which is interesting and cool to see. They have had so many struggles in the late game. They've looked like one of the bottom tier teams when it came to mid and late games in game, even as a number 3 team, just because their early game was so great and their mechanics in the laning phase. But now look at this, just staying together, great zoning and peeling from H3, while 𝘀𝗏𝗏s just marks the cannon. He can't get past him. There's nothing Cerberus can do. Artemis once again fails to deal any damage. 𝘀𝗏𝗏 is on a champion that can't really deal damage, so what's there to do for Cerberus? Honestly, they probably are thinking about the next game already, and this is a little bit on themselves. They needed to play this game much differently. They need to take a page out of 𝘀𝗏𝗏's book, as 𝘀𝗏𝗏 has done with their playbook from their side, and accelerate the game more in the early game. Just go harder. Go for dives, go for kills. You can't just scale evenly against this kind of composition, as this game clearly demonstrates.
No, you really, really can't. More towers are falling. 𝘁𝗏𝗏 is up in the top lane. Oh, he's actually just back. Never mind. I was going to say he might not be able to access the fight. Oh, over the wall does go 𝘁𝗁𝗏𝗀. Gets tagged up a little bit, but obviously can dance away easily. Another inhibitor is sieged. When does Cerberus pull the trigger? When is Last Chance Saloon? Is it this one? Or is it the next? I think it's going to have to be the next.
They're getting desperate. They're frankly trying to find a way into the backline, but the Braum, how can you get past Braum? Your mid lane is completely invalidated just by the enemy support, and the enemy support doesn't even have to do anything special, just has to stand on top of his team and just at opportune times press his E button. Really not that hard to do. So the enemy mid lane is completely invalidated. Ego can't really go in. 𝘁𝗏𝗏 has tried so many times to go for the flank. Every single time there's an exhaust waiting for him, there's 𝘁𝗁𝗏𝗏 or 𝘁𝗏𝗏s pushing him away. So it just looks hopeless at this point. And apart from a momentous throw from 𝘀𝗏𝗏's side, I can't see how they lose this game.
Yeah, it has to just be a throw of monumental proportions. If this little 3-man stays together, they're basically unkillable. You just can't come into 𝘁𝗏𝗏s and Vit, not when they have H3 peeling for them. 𝘁𝗏𝗏 has to run away. Yeah, he can't do anything. He is literally just a rat. Local rat caught by robot as he is taken down, cut in half. I mean,
yeah, the
that
experiments
illustrates
are getting
Cerberus.
The experiments are getting very questionable. The poor rats, the lab rats, are not having a great time in this game. But I like this from Cerberus, at least trying to get something on the other side of the map. Maybe it's even extra gold from shutdowns. No objective shutdowns for Cerberus.
Because
the
gold
behind.
I think it's because of the dragons. Because it takes into account if you're on soul point. And they are on soul point. They will never get soul because they can't approach the dragon. But the objective bounties are sitting there and going, Oh, yeah? You're doing fine. You're about to get Infernal Soul, right? Nah.
Yep, not really feasible here. And look at the items from 𝘁. I honestly think 𝘁 has been one of the biggest revelations this split after being kind of an oversight for the last 2 years, really, in our league. He was there.
He was
wasn't the
tainted.
worst ADC.
His name was tainted after that OPG split.
Yeah, I mean, he was never the worst ADC, I think, at the league. There were always other candidates, but he was always like the second worst, the third worst ADC. So no one really expected him to be an asset for 𝘀𝗀cie, but he has been a very good weak side player, and in this game at least, he's also showing the ability to carry and take over a lot of the late game responsibility. To be honest, he hasn't really had to carry any team fights because there's Blazes, the H3 is doing a great job, but he's there to take over the responsibility if he has to. Last ditch effort, 𝘀𝗀.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of damage onto Coded, but he doesn't much care. They haven't even called pun yet. That was enough to get them off the Baron. But 𝘀𝗀, like, this doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. You have to go. At some point, you have to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. Coded goes back, TP's in on full health. Ego's getting chunked, has to use the Crescent Guard to just not die. 𝘀𝗀 flashes forward, lands a stun. They're following it up with a lot of CC, but it just doesn't matter because they don't have the money, they don't have the damage, they don't have the champions, they don't have a chance. As 𝘀𝗀 will be the next one to get taken down. He goes gold for a moment to buy him some time. There they go forward. Artemis now, he's trying to turn around. He's got the triple kill. Can he make it into anything more? He's forced to go gold. Can he get the artillery off? He can, but it's not enough. It's a quadra kill for 𝘁.
He's putting in extra hours, he's working so hard, but his team is just not giving him the opportunity. Almost the pentakill for Artemis, but the 𝘀𝗀cie, you heard these words from my mouth, I know it's insane, but the 𝘀𝗀cie actually saves 𝘁 there. He's strong enough, he doesn't need extra damage. The 𝘁𝗀 was actually a decent buy here, especially against an assassin ADC like 𝘁𝗀cie, and they're going to finish the game in 31 minutes, just like 𝘀𝗀 in the last one. 𝘀𝗀cie playing the 𝘀𝗀 game better than 𝘀𝗀 and bringing us one game back. Up to game 4 we go.
There we go. 𝘀𝗀cie prove that they can do it. And it wasn't through the method that we thought it could have been. It wasn't just Killer Queen being a monster. It was 𝘁, it was Blazers. And this makes it a very interesting series. We need to take a short break. We'll be back in just over 7 minutes with the analyst desk. And I'm sure they've got a lot to talk about. See you guys right after this.
Guess who's back to blow your mind? But let me warn you one last time. Guess who's back to change your life? But it's not gonna be just fine. Whoa, I've got you under my spell tonight. Whoa, we're both heading to hell tonight. So don't ever listen to a word they say. It's time that you found out that I'm gonna get my way. Gonna light it up, then I'll burn it down. I'm gonna make you feel like you're invincible when no one's around. I'm gonna build you up, and then I'll strike you down. 'Cause you're about to know it's nothing personal. Sometimes good people do bad things. I have always tried to be nice. I've sat right back, I've tried to be quiet. But I can only take so much, and then I just explode. To feel it building inside me. Just need to let go. So don't ever listen to a word they say. It's time that you found out that I'm gonna get my way. Okay, I'm gonna light it up, then I'll burn it down.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 𝘀𝘀cie is about to reverse sweep. I'd say at least they were able to take game number 3 away from Cerberus Esports with a very good executed comp. And Coach Tim, he stated, okay, yeah, this was the first clean executed team comp I've seen in this whole series. Can you explain why?
I mean, they still did a few mistakes. They got caught out, especially in the early levels, a bit more than they might have wanted to. But seeing how they played against a heavy mid-game comp, bot lane just played slow. They got a 30 CS lead over the 𝘁𝗏, which is their job. I mean, Braum is very good at defending the engage that Leona brings, and then the 𝘀𝗰𝗋 just pushes with her wave clear, make sure that she gets ahead and farm. That worked out pretty well. Mid lane was just even. The Victor was even able to pressure the TF early, so there couldn't be any plays happening. Top lane was fine, and then they just started to scale, and then they outscaled and basically played the game near perfectly until the end. And I think it was all around a very strong game from 𝘀𝘀cie. And if they can recreate this, I think this gives us a lot of hope, because until now we said, okay, it has to be topside snowballing, winning the game, winning those skirmishes. And now 𝘀𝘀cie suddenly showed they can play controls, they can play a scaling team comp. And if they put in a good drafting position, they can easily win.
Yeah, especially I was especially very surprised about the performance of the bot lane of 𝘀𝘀cie Esports, because Vid looked very great against 𝘁𝑎RTEMIS. 𝘁𝘁𝑚IS fell down in CS, about 30 CS after 15 minutes. 𝘀𝘀cie, do you think that this was a big point as well?
It definitely was. I mean, I also really liked that Braum pick there, I gotta say, because it really just gives so much safety to the 𝘀𝗰𝗋. I mean, the Fresh was banned. I was, of course, not keen on that, them still picking up the 𝘀𝗰𝗋, but they kind of proved me wrong there, because the Braum worked brilliantly. Leona 𝘁𝗏 can work out, but you really need to have the all-in going on for you. And against Braum, you cannot all-in as Leona there, so it was really doomed from the start for the side of 𝘁𝑎RTEMIS and Unofficial, despite them probably being the better individual players, but this game they couldn't really do anything there. Also, 𝘀𝗰𝗋, with her walkheads, she can get the easy priority going on for her, and maybe 𝘀𝗰𝗋, a pick that has been kind of slept on in the first 2 games. Maybe we see a little bit more draft priority on this pick on the side from both teams. And also, 𝘂𝑑o, he tried to flex onto Blazes there with going Victor into TF, then TF into Victor, and he kind of fell on his face, let's be honest. I mean, he didn't play terribly, but the Victor just does so much more than the TF does. And also the cannon pick from either Pan or Coded was not convincing me at all. Later on, we don't see a replay of it, but we saw a nice duel of Pan against the Chaos Storm, and well, the Chaos Storm won. So it was really doomed in that department for Cerberus.
Talking about good player performances, I want to highlight 𝘁_3 as well on his Braum, as you mentioned before, 𝘀𝘀cie, but I want to highlight another place from him. The exhaust onto Cannon's flanks were very, very clean. Cannon had, in the mid-game, 2 or 3 very good flanks, but they weren't effective because 𝘁_3, he knows how to use exhaust. And yeah, I know, everybody knows that, like, okay, exhaust is a spell where you can reduce damage and stuff, but most of the supports don't, they can't use the summoner spell in a right way, and 𝘁_3 did in this game, Coach Tim. I guess this was a very deciding thing as well, right?
Sorry again. I was a bit... Sorry. My bad.
𝘁_3's usage of exhaust was a very deciding thing for the game as well, against the cannon flanks.
Yeah, I mean, exhaust is such a strong summoner spell. It's probably one of the harder ones to use, because you have to usually in advance already decide who you're going to use it on and what for exactly, especially in communicating with your team, similar how you would talk about CC in before the team fights. And I think that communication went very well, and the exhausts were on point and basically shut down the cannon in its entirety until later on, as 𝘀𝘀cie said, the Chaos Storm won the 1v1.
Do you think, 𝘀𝘀cie, that Victor has to be pick or ban for the next games?
Yes, I think he has, and I keep saying it for week after week here in the VCS. Victor's just so strong right now. He also, even before the changes, right, before 𝘀𝘀 the Shadow Queen really came into existence, he was already a decent pick to good pick, I would say, and now he's just even better, and you kind of have to pick it first or just ban it out on the red side. I think it's even more likely that you just have to ban it on the red side. And I think Victor, he has like some shortcomings in the early game, but they're like so early, and he already basically escaped it as soon as he gets like 1 item upgrade, 1 spell upgrade with the 100 stacks of his passive, and level 6 is already like a point where he is like fine, I would say. And also, you basically have to trade up against the Victor all the time because of this passive mechanic he has. And we saw it in game 2, right? But the 4-3 trade for 𝘀𝘀xe was ending up not being beneficial to them because 𝘂𝗷 was just on the Victor. And I think Victor is just that high of a priority. Other picks that are also high priority might just be the 𝘁𝗀 if it ever gets through here, because it has been banned, I think, so far. And I wonder, Cerberus now back on the blue side, if they maybe go for something like this. And also, speaking of the series in general, I mean, 𝘀𝗀xe has won all 3 early games. They definitely stand a chance here.
And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to jump into the 4th peak, and 𝘀𝗋𝗋 Cerberus versus 𝘀𝗀xe. Cerberus leads the series 2-1, but 𝘀𝗀xe was able to take away the last game. The third one coming in from Cerberus Esport. No big surprises right here, Coach Tim.
So far, not the talent was also being banned out, and now I want to see something from 𝘀𝗀xe that I talked about in the last series or in the last draft, and that is leave 𝘁𝗀𝗀 out. Basically, force Cerberus to decide: do I want Victor or do I want 𝘁𝗀𝗀? And take the other one. And I think that could be a good move here for 𝘀𝗀xe, because if it comes to it, I'm probably expecting Cerberus to go for the Victor, not for the 𝘁𝗀𝗀, expecting Artemis to be able to play into that. And they might just, please don't ban the Victor. They're gonna get 𝘁𝗀𝗀 and Artemis is gonna rip you a new one. Yeah, that's not what I was looking for. Now you get nothing for the 𝘁𝗀𝗀.
He does, but I think if you get the 𝘁𝗀𝗀 onto a mid and H3 bot lane, I don't think really Artemis is really afraid of that. I think he can just find the niche pick where he can punish it. Maybe even he won lane with Twitch against 𝘁𝗀𝗀, so that may be a little bit dangerous to pick into him. Also maybe like the Vayne coming out for him on just any jungle attended by Ego, and this lane would already be doomed for bit. So maybe they're just not confident to go with the 𝘁𝗀𝗀 themselves, and they kind of had to ban the Victor there. But I mean, you still could maybe leave both open and hope that they prefer the 𝘁𝗀𝗀 anyway, and just get at least Victor for your side. And like this, as you said, you just get neither of them, which is of course a far from ideal situation for them. And either way of that, 𝘁𝗀𝗀 getting the Sin again, and what I want to see is a Jinx. Yeah, maybe Jinx 𝘁𝗀 again, but against 𝘁𝗀𝗀 plus a range support, the 𝘁𝗀 could very much be used in the laning phase. But I really like bits on Jinx, so just pick it again. It works.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
why change it?
yeah, we see the Jinx, we see a Nautilus pickup, and honestly, I agree with you. Pick the 𝘁𝗀 again. If this Nautilus ends up being the pick that Cerberus is going for, I would love to see the 𝘁𝗀 coming in. It is going to be a Renekton pickup, a champion that has been banned pretty consistently in the second ban rotation against Pun, and something he actually, the only thing he really dominated 𝘁𝗀𝗀 with in last series, they played each other, so really unsurprising. Now it looks like LeBlanc might just be picked up for the first time in the series, and with a lot of mid laners banned out and a second ban rotation to attack mid lane further, that could be a very strong option here for Blazes.
It definitely could. I mean, they could already ban out the counter picks against LeBlanc, which would be the Lissandra. Maybe they also ban out the Silence, which was like one worry of another team that played in the VCS, where of course you win the lane, but later on you kind of fall prey to what Silence does in the side lane there. And maybe just that is an angle that they don't want to give to 𝘂𝗷 here. Gotta say, on Blazes, I would have also liked to play something like a Wise or something to have like a bit more control of the game. But LeBlanc is a pick that is very strong on this patch for sure, especially in the early game, and also a very strong mid-jungle duo coming out so far from them. And I really wonder if Pun's Renekton was something they really need to ban, because this time he gets his Renekton and he needs to show up in it, because otherwise you basically are in for a rough spot in the potential game 5 of the series if it ever happens. And yeah, I also like the Vex ban, by the way, because LeBlanc cannot really do much into this pick and really has to smash the lane, and the Vex just counters everything LeBlanc does basically with the fear, and you cannot really dash anymore, and then LeBlanc without dash is not a champion you want to have.
Absolutely not. Now Camille and Gnar have both been banned. I'm expecting the top lane pick to come in here. The question is, what do you want? I mean, I would actually like the Graves into Renekton. I think Graves, yeah, I don't hate it. I like it. I like the Graves.
Definitely. I mean, you don't lose lane too hard, and then you just outscale him. And I've seen some top lane base just solo killing the Renekton and at this another side of a team fight, and just denying the Renekton any access to the enemy backlane, and then just ultimately making this pick be completely useless. And yeah, 𝘂𝗷 now on the other side gets to be on his Wise, and I wonder if he can really impact the side with it, because I think he maybe needs to do bot lane likely a winning lane for them. Renekton against Graves is a little bit more even, I would say, and to really make use of the Renekton, you maybe need to put a wizard or two up top side there. Gotta say though, with a strong bot lane like Artemis and 1OP on Caitlyn Nautilus, you might just well just try to crush bit there. And even in this scenario, I think the Alistar would also be a fine pick.
Yeah, Alistar could be an option. I still think no matter Nautilus or Alistar, I think Braum should be the answer in this Hubbard right now. And overall, I would say the Ryze pick is good into LeBlanc specifically. It does fine in the laning phase. Yes, it can be ganked, but most things can actually be ganked when you're playing against LeBlanc, so that's not really an issue. But I think it's also good for the Graves, right? Because it's another low-range champion. If you look at the enemy team, what does Graves really struggle against? Well, high-range champions, and the only one that really exists is Artemis on the Caitlyn. Yes, it is a Caitlyn, but against the other 4 champions, he has a very easy game. So I really, really like the Graves pick in the end here for Coated, who has a strong position to carry his team in this game.
We are seeing both team comps. Game number 4 is about to start, and now I will start with you, 𝘀cie. What do you think? Is this maybe the reverse sweet angle 𝘀cie is looking for, or will Cerberus Esports take the series 3-1?
I think there definitely is an angle. The Jinx Braum bot lane worked well in the last game, and also this game it can definitely do something. The Jinx kind of being safe there. Braum very good into any engage support here. Also, I like Coded on the Graves, as I said earlier. He just outscales the Renekton, is still fine in the laning phase, and also Blazes on the LeBlanc. I don't really like LeBlanc in general as a personal preference, but also do not like Wise either, so that's fine for me. Gotta say though, I think the angle will be closed by Artemis because Caitlyn is absolutely insane in this patch, and I think Cerberus has it 3-1 here.
𝘀cie, Coach Tim, do you agree on that?
I think it all comes down to two factors. One, Artemis and 1OP on the one side. Can they find something in lane? Can they maybe get some solo kills? Because Artemis, 1OP, they can be playing very aggressively, even in matchups they should be losing. On the other hand, it's the mid-jungle duo. LeBlanc Lee Sin, that is the most aggressive mid-jungle duo you can basically pick. It's the LPL favorite, and I want to see them play aggressive, play on the map, and win the game.
And with that said, I want to hear it from you, from our casters, 𝘀cie and 𝘀𝑚. What do you think? Who will take game number 4?
Thank you very much, 𝘀𝑎𝑔𝑢. We are on the Rift again. Both teams are on the scoreboard. More games maybe than some have anticipated. And I, frankly, have no idea who is going to win this game. 𝘀𝑟ix, do you have any idea?
Well, 𝘀𝑚, it is Artemis on Caitlyn, something that I think our analysts made very clear is very, very scary. And listen to that, 𝘀𝑚. What have we figured out? We've got game audio.
Ooh.
It
For
worked!
the first time on this.
It worked!
This is such a new feeling. I'm not sure how to do this. I've cast 400 games without game audio, but here we go.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't believe we've made this work. But we do have game audio finally. I finally get to hear what the game sounds like in Vietnamese. I've never heard it. Oh, my word. As let's focus in on the game, because of course, we do have Vit getting the Jinx again. Jinx v Caitlyn, it's a lore matchup. But Vit last game was absolutely disgusting.
Yes and no. He was definitely very good. Oh, there's a nice engage from 1OP. Just a little bit of a poke. He wasn't like popping off beyond belief. He was not putting in an Artemis performance. He was very good, especially in laning phase, and he gave his team another insurance for the late game. In the end, I think Blazes was more crucial to their teamfight victories. But Artemis on Caitlyn, I had my doubts about him on short-range ADCs, especially looking at the last week where he failed to really execute on the Lucian. But his Caitlyn is legendary. His Caitlyn has always been one of his best champions, so he's back on it. First picking the Caitlyn. No victor in this game. We've finally gotten rid of the robot. Too many games, too many victories, and this should be Cerberus coming in with more confidence again. They gave up one game. Maybe it's just the victor game. If it gets close in this one, the doubts are going to creep back in. It's still Cerberus, it's still the 𝘀𝗀𝗃 team. They need to make sure to get it over with quickly, to not have anyone doubt their ability.
That they do. It's going to be tricky, of course, as good job there by 𝘁𝗃, making sure there's no follow-up. This Caitlyn lane is struggling to shove. If you can keep her pushed back in lane, you can make her not be able to mine away at your towers. You do neuter a lot of the power of this pick.
Yeah, on the other side, Caitlyn also going to be a little bit safer if she doesn't shove. So in some games, it might be better to not be quite as aggressive. As we see, they're finally arriving at the tower. Not able to attack the tower at this point, but chunking out H3 on the Braum. This time, the Braum is in a world of hurt here in the bot lane. Last game, he was the strongest support matchup, and if we disregard the ADCs, Braum into Nautilus can definitely succeed as well. He's generally very good against engaged supports, especially in early trades. But he's never gonna do anything in trades because the Caitlyn has complete control over the wave. On the other side of the rift, let's take a look at this top lane matchup because it's finally Graves in the top lane. And 𝘀𝗀𝗃, in my opinion, is the #1 Graves top laner in the league. I'm generally, of course, not the biggest fan of Graves. He's fine in top lane, in my opinion.
Yep,
and 𝘀𝗀𝗃, in the one game where he was really popping off, he had some of the most amazing Graves team fights ever. So I'm actually quite excited to watch him later on, putting in the work on this champion.
Yeah, I'm also really interested to see 𝘀𝗀𝗃 playing this Ryze. Ryze is a champion that's been very hit or miss in the VCS. We've seen players like 𝘀𝗀𝗃 going absolutely hog wild on it, but we've also seen a lot of Ryzes fall down. And 𝘀𝗀𝗃, he was up 2-0. He was looking at the curse imminently breaking, and then they lost a game, and he didn't play awful, but he certainly didn't play well, and oh no, 𝘀𝗀𝗃, it starts again, but he lives. Rono, he wants this one, flashes for it, but can't hit the hook.
You can feel the tension rising. Both teams know what the occasion is about. It is to get to the playoffs, and yeah, 𝘀𝗀𝗃 needs to win 2 more games. But honestly, if you come back from a 2-0, or 0-2, I should say, against Cerberus of all teams, you will be very confident going into Game 5. You know they're the chokers. They are the infamous team in the VCS to never win a single best-of-5 in playoffs. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 still on the play, and there's a teleport.
Oh, there's a teleport coming in. They want to try. They really, really want this kill, but 𝘀𝗀𝗃 can't quite find a way in. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 has me at Rune prisoned up, and now it's 𝘀𝗀𝗃 entering the fight. The Lee Sin finding his way in. There's a huge knockup by Ego, but they don't have the follow-up. Yes, they do. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 picks up first blood.
And Vid is too late to the party. He's going to lose so much time. The wave is already hitting his tower in the bot lane. So he is going to lose something off this play again. And Cerberus, this is the #1 playmaking champion for Ego. He has been very aggressive, sometimes over-aggressive even, especially in the series against Skye. But he knows how to accelerate games on this champion.
There's a dive in the picture-in-picture your way. This is going to be another one. There it is. Artemis picks up the kill. Caitlyn strikes down Powder.
We needed to see this last game.
Yeah, where was this last game?
But it's not too late. It's a best-of-5. You can afford to lose a game. They didn't have to, but of course, if you can strike back like this and go to a 2-0, platings falling, 1.5k gold lead in 9 minutes, it's just what you need. And Vid actually kind of dug his own grave with the whole movement around the map. If he stayed in bot lane and just pushed on the wave, he wouldn't have been vulnerable to die or susceptible to getting dove later. So Vid just basically consigning himself to death with the earlier roam. He's also behind almost 20 CS to Artemis now, and this can snowball out of control incredibly quickly.
It really can, and look, can we just point out the fact that Ego just needs to pick Jarvan more?
Yeah.
Because it's like, Jarvan is not an Ego champion when you think about it. He plays the flashy big playmakers and stuff. But every time he goes to the Jarvan, he just bites the bullet and goes, fine, I'll be an engage bot. He looks amazing on it. He hit a 3-man knock-up in that first blood play.
Yeah, and if you actually think back, cast your mind back to when he won the title. Do you remember the picks he played in the regular season? Not so much in the playoffs, because the patch changed end of 2020 summer. But in the regular season, where he was very successful as well, in his first full split, what was his most played champion? Do you remember?
I don't.
Trundle. He was
Trundle,
playing
you're
the
right.
supportive champions.
Yeah.
He was setting up Slater for success. Now he's on another team with a very good ADC. Once again, the best ADC, the best team fighting team, just like Flash in 2020. And he's back to setting up his team for success. A little bit more early game aggression compared to the Trundle. And sometimes he's going overboard with his aggression. Sometimes he plays a little bit too selfishly or too aggressively, even on the pick like Jarvan. But yeah, he knows when to engage, his sense for engages and how to make it work. Oh, 𝘀𝗏𝗶.
𝘀𝗏𝗶 doing well to interrupt 𝘀𝗀𝗃 on the way in, trying to buy as much time as he can, but it's not going to be enough. He will go down.
Very good collapse there. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 level 6 is able to get on the other side of the blast cone, so no way for 𝘀𝗏𝗶 to get away from this play. Cerberus also needs to cancel their Rift Herald.
Yeah, they're backing off for now, but they've still got an eye to go pop if they want it. Ego's making sure it doesn't reset. Needs to be very careful. Ooh, there's the reset. Disaster. Cerberus, I don't think you can continue this one.
Look at 𝘀𝗏𝗶. He's walking up the mid lane. He was punished before, but he's back in the play, and we need to see 𝘀𝗏𝗃 come for this.
They've just isolated 𝘁𝗃. He was on a ward, and I just don't think he had any idea. They knew they could get the quick collapse, and that's going to be Herald.
It's an oversight 𝘀𝗏𝗃 just can't afford to make with this game score after winning a very dominant game 3. They're just looking flustered, they look lost on the Rift, and 𝘁𝗃, you have to assume that there's a ward in there. It's a very common ward in this bush, especially when you're setting up around the Rift Herald. So this is going to be another free kill, another objective with very little resistance going over to Cerberus, and they're already 2k gold ahead. With the Rift Herald into first tower, they could really break open the whole map and close out the series swiftly.
You say swiftly, but of course, they're already one game longer than they would have liked.
Very true.
And that's going to be giving 𝘀𝗏𝗃 some confidence, because they still do have scaling. Sure, the scaling is not as black and white as it was in game 3, but there is still a 𝘁𝗃x. She can still scale. There is still a 𝘀𝗏𝗏, who is not a traditional scaling threat. She scales a little bit differently, but she's still a one-shot threat onto someone like Artemis, if you can find the correct angles. I am not ready to count 𝘀𝗏𝗃 out.
I think if 𝘁𝗏𝗃s were to carry this game, it would have to be one of the most legendary LeBlanc performances ever, because how do you play LeBlanc into this composition? There is so much you have to account for. Every single champion in the enemy team has some sort of counterplay, and some of those tools are instantly as well. We have Pan stun, point and click, Yado stun, basically point and click, with 𝘀𝗏𝗃 with 4 different forms of CC, easily able to lock him down. So this is not an easy game for LeBlanc to play, and especially against someone like Artemis, who's so apt at playing at range to stay safe and put out the maximum DPS. I just don't see it happening.
Blaze is locked up as well. He's struggling. He's taking the damage. Does get away from the Cataclysm, but it's not enough, as he will go down regardless. They trade it back 1 for 1, but Artemis picks up first brick.
Yeah, first brick funneled into Artemis, and we saw glimpses of what is in store for 𝘁𝗏𝗃s in this game. How do you ever get close to any of the carries? Yado instantly turned on him, then Ego followed up, maybe a little bit overzealous, as we like, or as we know and love Ego, maybe not like to see him, but this is quintessential Ego gameplay, especially on the Jarvan. This time he doesn't even burn his flash, another plating over to the mid lane, and Cerberus in firm control. Maybe that is even an understatement here.
Yeah, it sure is, as 𝘀𝗃𝗃 is managing to get one objective against the play, as they just time the resets well. They pick up this first Drake stack. Cerberus is not too worried about this.
Yeah, not at all. The Dragon Snowball ship has sailed. Yeah, look at this. He just wanted to poke his head and see if there was an opportunity possible, but he insta-dies for it. And yeah, they punished with the kill on Ego.
So he got the best out of that situation that he could.
That's not really due to him being there, though, right? Because that's more his team for punishing Ego afterwards. So even if he gets away there, it's still a flash instantly blown for 𝘁𝗏𝗃. So I really don't see how he could be the one to carry. Vid on the 𝘁𝗃s, maybe he's the last hope. As Ego gets caught again, but he has his flash.
He doesn't have his flag, though, so it is going to have to be the flash. Now Coded coming in, gets hooked up. Graves, not exactly a CC machine, as Artemis goes low, but not low enough. Good block on the rocket, and Cerberus evacuate.
Yeah, and in the end, nothing comes from it. Cerberus able to just go back to the wave and farm safely. Artemis trying to get back to half HP at least. Oh, and there we go again.
They're going to come back in, as there's the Realm Warp straight into the back line, and look at the damage. Instantly, 2 are dead. 𝘁𝗃 puts up the door, but it's a doorway to death, as he goes down to Yado, and 𝘀𝗏𝗃 looking like peasants.
And what a different Cerberus we are watching. I was scared for them for a second after losing a game. 2-0 looked so dominant, and they're still trying to accomplish the unthinkable, winning a best-of-5 as Cerberus. But they have a different team now. They have 𝘂cio, and 𝘂cio is a playmaker through and through. Look at him. He's always looking for the opportunity. 𝘂ado and 𝘂cio with amazing synergy, and there's no time to recover.
There's another play in the picture-in-picture. We did just see them pick up another kill. Up on the top side, Coded is dead. The Graves has gone down. Cerberus, I think they are a little bit offended at losing Game 3. They're out for revenge.
Yeah, and you could slide them a little bit and say, well, why didn't you play like this last game when you had the early game focused draft, the mid-game composition that needed to snowball? Why did you fail to put in all these aggressive plays? Amazing dive, by the way, very nicely juggled. But on the other hand, you can also say, well, they recognized their downfalls, their pitfalls in the last game, and actually came back in this game, were able to reset their mental, something we haven't seen this team do successfully in the past, and play how they should have played in Game 3. Sure, they lost the game, but in the end, showing adaptability, showing the ability to come back inside a series is such a huge, important thing to show for Cerberus.
Now, 𝘁𝗁𝗀 is going to encounter 𝘂cio. Of course, can get away easily Sin. But it looks like a topside focus. There actually is a fight in the bottom side. I'd really like to see Pun and Coded are currently brawling. Coded's losing it badly. There's the Dominus. And chopped down. The Croc gets another. Well, actually, it's his first. But the Croc does strike.
Pun is unleashed. 2 games on Team TK, 1 game on Cannon.
Blazers has been doused. Forward goes 𝘁𝗁𝗀, desperately trying to kill 𝘂ado. It's desperation hours. This is desperation. 𝘁𝗁𝗀 comes in, confirms the CC, doing well. Caitlyn has picked up a tower on the other side, and 𝘀𝗀cie just don't know what to do. And all they can do is die.
Blazers just can't play the game. How do you play LeBlanc into this composition, especially from behind? He has to make stuff happen. That's his role as a champion, but it's just impossible. 𝘂ado has been very good at just marking him and insta-CCing him whenever you try to go forward. And then even LeBlanc, even one of the slipperiest champions, one of the champions with the most tricks up her sleeve, can't get away from all the lockdown on the other side. It's another 2 for 0. It's another tower. Yeah, what can Blazers do? Look at him. He knows he has to do something. 𝘁𝗁𝗀 is here. They look for the play.
He can't even go back to his platform.
Yeah, look at the CC. He's just locked down forever. Yeah, this is a little bit dirty then from 𝘂cio. 𝘁𝗁𝗀 flashes or gets away from the Cataclysm, but it doesn't matter. There's so much CC, there's so much damage. They just keep piling everything on top of 𝘀𝗀cie's members, and at this point, it's also a little bit of a wallet diff, as we like to see it. Look at the stats, 0-2, 2-2, 0-2, 0-2, 0-4. So very clearly, this game has gotten out of hand.
Out of hand, out of foot, out of apartment. I don't know. The game's run away. The game's made a new life for itself, and it doesn't want anything to do with 𝘀𝗀cie. It's happy with Cerberus. As 𝘁𝗁𝗀 is caught out. He's tanky boy, though, on this Nautilus as in comes 𝘂𝗀 and 𝘂𝗀 coming in from the side. It's about to be an absolute massacre here in the jungle. They get 𝘁𝗁𝗀, but that is going to be a small constellation. But now they get back onto Artemis. This has been disjointed from Cerberus. They pick up 2, but it doesn't matter. It's 𝘁𝗁𝗀. They flash forward. That'll be a kill picked up for 𝘂𝗀. They're bearing down on the 𝘁𝗁𝗀, and there's nothing 𝘀𝗀cie can do. Pun wasn't even there.
Pun enjoying life in top lane, finally getting to play some strong laning champions, and he's unleashed on his traditional Croc. And there's another 600 gold collect by Cerberus. Well, playing against 𝘀𝗀cie from behind, so 𝘀𝗀cie being behind, they try to get the raid boss 𝘁𝗁𝗀 here, and they do succeed in killing him. They also kill Artemis, because Artemis gets a little bit too greedy in this play. He has to... Yeah, Artemis is really not playing well. He had to flash here, but he exposes himself to the flank from Blazes. Blazes is finally able to do something in this game. Nice, he gets a shutdown. That's the last kill he's going to see. But in the end, it's a 4v5 and they still lose. On the other side of the map, Pun is just mining away some turret gold. We are looking at an 11k gold lead. And yeah, playing against 𝘀𝗀cie from behind is like playing tennis against a player who's vastly worse than you are. His ability is just not... He just can't keep up with you. He just sprints at the net every single point. And sure, it's annoying, and sure, it's a bad play, but maybe sometimes he surprises you with a smash or something.
I think
not the case here.
You are using the wrong sport. I know you're a big tennis fan. I don't blame you. But this is actually looking a bit more like MMA against a 5-year-old.
Okay. I wanted to give them one chance, okay? I wanted to give them, like, the surprising factor. I don't think a 5-year-old can do anything.
No, I don't think 𝘀𝗀cie can do anything, as 𝘁𝗻𝘁 does manage to net away, and he just kites it out. It just doesn't matter. They put everything into him. There is one more chance as 𝘀𝗀 comes in from the side while the ace in the hole is being channeled. 𝘁𝗻𝘁 on the run, taken down by the collateral damage, but who cares? Because the rest of 𝘀𝗀cie are on the run. Probably not the way the Realm Warp should have gone. Look at 𝘁𝗀, though, playing gatekeeper. This is my house now, says the crocodile as he lives on this riverbank. Rolls away from Blazers. He's actually in a little bit of trouble. Can he find a way out? No flash. He has to wait for his E to come back up. 𝘁𝗀, come on, mate. You can find a way out. Can he? Can he? Can he? He's doing a lot of damage and he gets away.
Oh, man. 𝘁𝗀 is having too much fun in this game, but it's fair. He had to play 2 games of Tahm Kench. 𝘀𝗀 trying to go for the dirty tricks, but I don't think it's going to work here.
I mean, they're just throwing everything at the wall. This is the correct thing to do when you're this far behind. Just try everything. Ego flag and drags away. But yeah, look, 𝘀𝗀cie, you can't stall at this point. You just have to throw things at the wall and maybe something sticks.
Yeah, and 𝘀𝗀cie has played like this from behind all split. They are just... They just go to the next gear and play even more aggressively with no regards for their own HP bars. Sometimes it works, most of the time they just get stomped. But honestly, there isn't much else they could do in this game. Because, yeah, they're 12k gold down in 20 minutes. So, usually you say you want to slow down the game, try to survive a few more minutes, and maybe try to get the gold percentages closer together again. But that's not really feasible, so I don't mind 𝘀𝗀cie going for over-aggressive dice, but I don't think it's going to amount to anything for them.
Yeah, look, I always prefer when you're this far behind, you just throw everything at the wall. Obviously, 95% of the time it doesn't work and you look a little bit silly, but do you really have more than a 5% chance to win this game? I don't think you do. As the Rift Herald will get another charge, take it down low. Blaze is doing his best off the side, but this LeBlanc is just the tickle cannon right now.
𝘀𝗀 is back to grouping up in the mid game, staying very close together, protecting their backline, and with all the bruises and all the tanks in front of 𝘁𝗻𝘁, there's no way to reach him. We already talked at length at Blazes and how difficult it is for him to get on top of the targets. He gets chunked out again. And yeah, what can they do? There isn't really anything they can try and do. Oh no, 𝘀𝗀.
Oh, he's in so much trouble. The CC chain is there. That is a Lee Sin taken down. They whip a rocket in. They whip a 𝘀𝗀𝗵𝗂. They're doing everything they can, but H3 has to immediately turn himself gold. 𝘁𝗻𝘁 is approaching. The Cataclysm is down. Ego will actually die. He needs to drop his wall. He kind of griefed his team a little bit, but it just doesn't matter when 𝘁𝗻𝘁 is that good as the Gale Force fights Jinx.
Yeah, Ego was never shy of engaging, even if throwing away his life. Now, they don't have the smite, and 𝘁𝗀 is a very sad crocodile, needs to walk in shame over to the Baron. This actually gives them... 𝘁𝗻𝘁? Okay.
They're just calling.
Too scared of 𝘀𝗀 stealing away the Baron, I guess, even if they get the Baron, it's not going to do anything. It has the objective bounty though, so I like this play from 𝘀𝗀. There's no need to accelerate the Baron right now. The game is over. You really don't need to risk anything with even just a low risk play. Just go for the no risk play, because why would you go for any risks? If your name is Ego, you're allowed to do it once in a while, just to have a little bit of fun. Look at this execution damage from 𝘁𝗻𝘁. Gale Force, and I believe an auto attack weaved in there as well to get the last hit on 𝘁. And what a change from the last game, right? 𝘁 stepping up finally, showing us I can actually keep up with 𝘁𝗻𝘁. Yeah, just for one game. It's not actually the case. 𝘁𝗻𝘁 is still
was
here.
The problem. I blame 𝘁𝗁𝘁. It's VCS 𝘁𝗁𝘁. Every time.
𝘁𝗀 would have won the game, so maybe it's 𝘁𝗁𝘁 on 𝘁𝗁𝘁. But Artemis on
Okay,
paper is definitely
our main
a
A,
different
best ADC in the VCS. 𝘀𝗋𝗋 says. Oh, 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃 poking his head out, but no punish to come. It is the Baron Tango.
Yeah,
Both teams have a
unfortunately,
controlled
with a
push.
broken leg for 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃, so their dancing
one?
abilities are hindered.
Oh, hook doesn't land onto Blazers. LeBlanc stays safe for now as 𝘀𝗀𝗃 continues to be able to tag up Ego, marking the J4 with the resonating strike, or the sonic wave, I should say.
A little bit disappointed that Cerberus hasn't put anyone into the bot lane. The wave was about to crash. Instead, they just want to
Realm
fight
War.
more, and here we go.
Yep, they've managed to solo out
Poor
Vit.
Vit.
They just need to kill him quickly, and that they will. Oh my word. Taking down that Jinx. Now they can move over to the Baron. There's really no threat without the Jinx alive. There's no way you can fight 4v5. Coded could TP in, but it would just simply be a waste of time. Blazers moving forward. 𝘀𝗀 zoning him out, and the Baron should just melt.
That felt
Oh,
almost
never
personal.
mind.
They just want to punish the other ADC. Yeah,
They're
this is
just
not
gonna
a fight.
fight.
This
Yeah.
is just a slaughter.
It is an absolute slaughter. This is Normandy, and they're running up the beach as they've just been ruined. Don't think
Well,
of the
in the meantime-
implications of that.
Coated is going to get some gold for the rest of his team. Of course, they're going to give up more kills, more Baron buffs, and so on. But giving up kills in this position is fine. You're already 12k gold behind. There's nothing really to save your life for. So buying some time for Coated to at least get one tower back, that's better than expected. So a little bit of gold collected for 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃. What is there to analyze about this? It's just they can't compete.
No, please don't kill us. Oh, no.
Indeed.
That's
But to
about
me,
it.
it almost felt personal how they singled out Vit and invested absolutely everything to kill him. Just trying to reassure Artemis. He's their main carry. He needs to be on a good mood for the Sunday final. So they tell him, Artemis, last game doesn't matter. You're the best ADC the VCS has ever seen, and we're going to prove it. And, stomping Vid into the ground. 0-6 right now. Not even on 2 items. Well, Artemis is quietly working on his 4th.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a gap. Once again, topside abusing Zorn. Just tragic to see. Hopefully they sort this out in Season 2, as this is just not alright. Cerberus pushing up. They have the run of the map. Pun walking in this bottom wave. I think they just want to wait for him to crash before they commit to the mid lane. As, I mean...
I see. Coated
Sorry?
is pushing back Pun. What is happening, Pun?
I mean, he can wave
wipe him on
clear.
the tower.
He's a Graves. He can always clear the waves, right? As they are going to pick up that first inhib, the realms will be warped as they move directly over to where Pun was. Go back up their best friend. As now, this is probably the only chance you get to maybe engage on a split Cerberus, but they can't find it. The ace in the hole? Not actually blocked there by anyone, but the shield bow does a good job keeping Graves alive. And Cerberus are moving in. They want to end this game. They want to end this semi-final. They want to finally win a best of 5 your way.
Are you ready for the final fight? Cerberus is so close. The doors are wide open. They just need to step through them. And here they come. Baron minions are here. Super minions are here. 5 members of Cerberus strong. And they want to finish the game right here, right now.
They're going to send Pun back. He has teleport. You know he'll be back momentarily. There's the Cataclysm. Under 2 towers. It's a kick, but there's the big shot coming out of Artemis. Arrests 1. Can they find any more? There's a hook. It's police brutality as they're moving forwards. Pun spins around, takes a kill. And this is just an absolute massacre. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 gets one for himself. Artemis gets another. And it's just a brawl. It's Christmas time, but Santa's got nothing in his sack. As that will be Cerberus finally winning a best of 5. They win the semi, and Cerberus finally takes their place in a final.
They have waited so many times. They have tried so many times. 𝘀𝗀𝗃, Artemis, Pun failed at the seams every single time. The game got out of hand whenever they stepped into the players, but today is not the day. Today they're finally here to secure their spot in the final. #1 seed from the regular season, and they want the title. They want their first VCS shield. And I think after this performance, both teams playing tomorrow are going to be quite scared of this Cerberus. on
As
Sunday.
they should be. Now, we're going to go straight back over to the VCS German desk. Take it away, 𝘀🐈 and the fellas.
Actually, very, very good. Very well said. Let's ski like that, 𝘀🐈. Hello, welcome back to the VCS German Analyst Desk. My name is 𝘀🐈. I am still your host. And Cerberus did it finally. They have won a best-of-5 series. And the last game, I mean, they deserved it, right? The last game was so dominant from them, 𝘀𝐻𝗄. How do you feel about this last game?
𝘂𝗃 is how I feel about it. 𝘂𝗃 was like this one point of the draft where I was like, I mean, 𝘀🐶's draft was kind of good, but 𝘂𝗃 still got 𝘁𝗃, so I'm really iffy. And I think Cerberus will take it, got it right in the end, but also gotta give credit to other players there. We talked so much, too much maybe, about 𝘂𝗃 and his tenure on this VCS winter split. And the MVP of this series, if we are in a position to crown one, I would give it to 𝘂𝗷, honestly, because in the game 1, he definitely had their backs, in the game 2 as well. Both games on Victor, of course, which makes it a little bit easier for him. And in the game 3, even the game where he was looking a little bit iffy, he wasn't looking too bad either way. And this Wise game just now showed us why Wise is still being picked sometimes. And I want to see more of it.
One player who played very well at the side of 𝘂𝗷 in the last game is Ego on his Jarvan, and I have to give credits to Coach Tim, who mentioned in the pre-game talk, as you all of course remember, just give Ego Jarvan. It's a very good early game jungler with a huge amount of damage potential in the early game, and you can be tanky and useful in the late game as well. Coach Tim, do you think that Jarvan will be a big threat, a good pick for Ego for the finals as well?
I mean, it obviously can be a good pick for him. It is just something he can dominate the early game with. He can play like a maniac, and even if 1 or 2 games fail, and if he falls behind in CS, it doesn't really matter, because in the end he is Jarvan. He's gonna have his Cataclysm and some survivability, and he's gonna be fine. And if he gets ahead, he's a monster and a carry to deal with. And I think having these options for him, and not really banking on him dominating the early game, but him having the ability to still do it, is the perfect champion.
So let's go over to the predictions. I mean, Cerberus, they did it. They went to finals. They are in the finals right now, and they are waiting for their opponent. This opponent will be determined tomorrow in the game 𝘀𝗀 Esports versus 𝘀𝗀. 𝘀𝗀, what do you think? Is 𝘀𝗀 actually able to take away this best-of-5 series, or is this 𝘀𝗀, which they are very good in shape right now, are they actually able to take away this best-of-5 series?
But glad that you asked me there, because I'm a little bit of a 𝘀𝗀 hater, I guess, because I think that they're Wise to the top. I mean, while I have to give them some credit, I think it is a little bit over-exaggerated on the overall scale. And I think 𝘀𝗀, even without considering the fact that playoffs 𝘀𝗀 is always a different beast, would be the favorite for me, and it will be playoffs 𝘀𝗀 against 𝘀𝗀. 𝘀𝗀, I think they don't really play playoffs that often too. I think they might be in for a rough awakening tomorrow, and I think 𝘀𝗀 has that pretty handedly, actually. I think 𝘀𝗀 maybe takes 1 game, but I don't expect them to take more than that.
Coach Jim, do you agree, or do you believe in 𝘀𝗀 as the final opponent for Cerberus Esports?
I believe in 𝘀𝗀. When I came on here first time this season, my first game was BTS, and I was told how horrible they are. Top lane was in Inter. They couldn't do anything. They would bomb out of playoffs. I saw Rio dominating top lane, and at that day, I became a believer in BTS. I believe them to be the best team, and I'm saying they're not only going to win against 𝘀𝗀 tomorrow, they're also going to take down Cerberus.
Okay, that's
gotta say though, or like, was the one that was trying to sell you the story of 𝘀𝗀 being weak? Was it maybe me? Maybe that was the reason. Maybe
No. Mr. President of the 𝘀𝗀 fan club, Mr. 𝘀𝗀 was trying to sell me on that point, and we obviously know how good his analysis was, judging from how 𝘀𝗀 played today. So, I think BTS easy win.
I guess 𝘀𝗀 will be very sad, right? 𝘀𝗀 is now out for the race to the title of the VCS Winter Split 2021. And I guess we are out for today as well. Tune in tomorrow, same time at VCS English. We have in-game sound now, so yeah, this is definitely an upgrade, and we do have a lot more to say tomorrow for the game 𝘀𝗀 Esports versus burst the sky, we will determine the opponent of 𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀𝗀 Esports. That's the name. And with that, we are out. Thanks, 𝘀𝗀cie and Coach Tim, for attending here, for joining me, for sharing your interesting thoughts and analysis with us. Thanks, of course, to 𝘀𝗀 and 𝘀𝗋𝗋 as well, who completely smurfed the cast once again. And I guess we are out for today. Thanks for watching. Tune in tomorrow. Have a great day. Goodbye.